Going live? Okay. Go away, phone. Right, I believe I've gone live too early. So, hi folks, we are still setting up. We'll be with you in just a moment. Welcome to the pre-show. We're early. So that's a thing. You should make an extractor of the shop. Paul is rebuilding his. I don't have an extractor full stop. The thought has occurred to me. I'll look into it, is what I'd say to that. I shall think about it. Hello, hello. We are live. Good. Right. I'll be with you guys in a moment because I didn't actually mean to go live. I accidentally hit select broadcast and go live instead of just select broadcast. So here we are. If you're watching the VOD, you should probably just skip forward by 5 minutes. So yes.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah, that happened. So yes.
Very well. Hello, everyone. The mysterious off-screen voice.
Okay, I've pushed the button on your coffee.
Cool. I will grab the coffee.
Okay, I will entertain our guests by taking off my clothes.
Oh my.
Right, I'm going to...
But to continue the conversation we were just having before you hit the go live button.
Yes.
Yes, it looks interesting, but it also looks like they didn't go for enough brightness.
Yeah.
From the LEDs.
But the problem is, this is why Short Circuit is bad at webcam videos, because they review the webcam in a studio where it's just
they had the light. They did turn the lights off.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like they should have taken it to an office or something like that, which was a bit more representative of where it would actually be used.
Yes. And for those of you who are wondering what we're on about, this is the Anchorwork B60 video bar.
Yeah, Anchorwork B60 video bar. Caradog and I were talking about camera lighting, and Caradog was saying, oh, they should make just like a light bar that's just like a wide LED bar that sits on top of your monitor. And I said, oh yeah, someone did actually take a swing at that. They just kind of didn't commit to it. So yeah. Right. Time enough to get an ice cream from the freezer. Sure thing. Ice cream in this weather? You're mad. That's illegal. You can't do that. I mean,
That's only like your opinion, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
Maybe
illegal.
Maybe they're Australian.
I'd make it illegal if I were in charge.
Maybe they're Australian and it's actually, midnight or something.
When I am king, you will be first against the wall. Right.
Ooh.
That's a Radiohead quote.
Absolutely. Also stools.
Yes. Oh yeah, we'll swap over because I'll take the. I'll be a bro and take the crap one.
We should probably do something about that at some point.
Yeah, we could probably do that this stream actually, because I'm not going to lie, I don't have high hopes for the quality of this stream. This is going to be a bit scuff if I'm honest. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon.
Oh.
Did you actually even post the video in the news channel?
No, of course not.
I will do that presently.
Thanks. Yeah, anyway. While we do this, I'll just quickly show people what we've got. Let's just switch to bench cam. That looks good. So this is the 8-bit KX7 333R motherboard from the old Lianli that Caradog and I disassembled 2 streams ago. Yeah, 2 streams ago.
Yes, it was.
And we stripped down the computer, then we rebuilt it, only to find that this thing is stone dead. Absolute kill, no life at all. Ben Laird, hi all from Scotland. Hello, thank you very much for the £5. Speaking of Scotland, this week I learned that well-fired buns are a thing in Scotland, that's basically just it's a normal sort of sandwich bun, like you put a burger bun style thing, except it's burnt. But in Scotland, they're called well-fired buns. And
as in significantly,
yes.
Not well as in properly.
Significantly fired buns, and they're just on sale. It's just a burnt roll. So yeah. Anyway, that's what I learned about Scottish culture today. Hi Ben, how you doing? Anyway, so this thing was kill. It's got a bunch of domed and leaky caps on it. I ordered capacitors, which arrived late, which is why we didn't do this last week. And then when they did arrive, I ordered 20 capacitors and they sent 10. As you can see, there are lots of capacitors on this board. So we don't have enough to do all of the capacitors. So what I'm thinking we do, and why this is going to be kind of scuff, is we can't replace all of them. So I'm just going to replace all of the ones that I think are the primary suspects. And we'll just see what happens, you know.
Also possibly worth double checking and seeing if you can work out which ones are 12 volt ones or the 5 volt ones. Whichever one is going to be the primary power rail for the CPU. So it doesn't appear... So we can at least get from stone dead to it
That's
tries,
just it.
Because then we can...
If we get to the point where the system actually powers on, even if it doesn't post, it means we're actually making progress. And that means that we could actually make this into some kind of long-term motherboard refurbishment series, which would be kind of interesting. Don't know if I can be bothered to do that, but it might be interesting. And God knows I've got to get more time learning ATX board repair at some point anyway. So yeah, that's the thing.
This is new enough to use a 12 volt primary. Yeah?
It doesn't have an EPS connector on it.
Well, no, because it's 20 pin, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. It is 20 pin. So actually, I don't know is the answer to that. Yeah.
Because because I'm looking at it and going, it's old enough for it to look like it's got not power stages, as I would be aware of them today.
Yeah, well, we've got discrete MOSFETs. We've got 3 VRMs of discrete MOSFETs there, with one high and one low by the looks of things, and driver chips in between. I mean, we could do a little bit of tracing around and just see. I would imagine that this is new enough to be running on the 12 volt rail. But I don't know when they switched over from 5 volt to 12 volt for the CPU input. I would imagine that it's 12, to be honest. So yeah, can't find anyone doing ATX repairs on YouTube, so it'd be great content. Yeah, I do want to get into it. But also, it's a completely different world from laptop repair, because most of the time, well...
Why is it different? I've been meaning to ask you why it's actually different. Because is it not... sentence. Are laptops not just motherboards with soldered bits, and desktop boards are motherboards without the soldered on bits?
So they're
just socketed.
There are two things that make desktop motherboard repair a different kettle of fish. The first thing is, firstly, Rick Lakes, thank you very much for the $5. Hello. How you doing? So the first thing is the still alive a PD event. Pass. Yeah, so the first thing that makes things different is on laptops, all of the low-hanging fruit is power delivery problems, and because laptops do all of their secondary power stages on the board, whereas ATX motherboards, there is some power conversion on the boards, but actually not very much at all compared to a laptop. Because obviously a laptop literally just has one DC input, and that's got to get split up into everything. Whereas the motherboard, you've got half a dozen DC inputs at the ATX connector already. So there's actually very little the motherboard needs to do. You've got the chipset, the RAM, the CPU, and that's basically it. Any other power conversion being done for some small logic stuff is basically irrelevant. So that is it. And in addition to that, the stuff that tends to go wrong with them tends to be logic and signaling stuff, which and there's just not a lot of documentation on how any of that works.
Right.
I think is the other thing. I think when you actually get down to the meat and bones of it, I don't think they're actually that different. There's just very little documentation. And because very few people are doing it, there's less community knowledge doing the rounds. As Spud Nugget also just pointed out, there's a lot of quote-unquote esoteric shit with the desktop in terms of UEFI. So just the way that BIOSes work and stuff like that, there's a lot more customization with how the BIOS is interacting with the board. I think they're more proprietary. whereas laptop boards tend to have a much more standardized approach because of how often new boards are being developed. Because obviously, that when you look at the volume of new laptops that are created versus new desktop motherboards, while there's a lot of new motherboards coming out all the time, but it's nowhere near as many as laptop motherboards.
I guess because in a generation you might only have, say, 3 revisions on a desktop board. You might have a revision 1, a revision 1.1, and then a revision 1.2. But are you saying that in laptops, in the service life of a laptop, there might be 10 or 15 revisions
potentially
of a board,
or just by virtue of the fact that most of the mainstream laptop brands like HP and so on and so forth, they probably release a dozen models of laptop a year. So I don't know the exact numbers. Are you then? And each one of those laptops has a different motherboard in it.
Genuine point of ignorance. Oh, I see. The boards are different, not the same.
Yes. And so each of those laptops will have a different motherboard in, which requires development. So they'll try and standardize as much of those boards as they can.
Right. Oh, I see.
Hence why laptop motherboards are more standardized.
They're more standardized because each one has less development time because of the greater number. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not articulating this very well.
I follow now.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was thinking, because surely if there are more models, that would mean there are more variations, which makes it more like desktop, but yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so I think we got there. So yes, at any rate, where was I? Yeah. So, desktop motherboards, not a lot of people repairing these. They are out there, but also just a lot of the problems just seem to be harder than they look to fix. I've dabbled a couple of times, even when I've had easy-looking ones, like with shorted CPU MOSFETs. You'd imagine that's no big deal, because even if you've killed the CPU, you put a new CPU in, right? But I've had modern desktop motherboards where I've replaced the MOSFETs, and then it's just blown another one. So I'm like, okay, I'll replace the driver and the MOSFETs. And it just blows up. It just blows up again, and it's just I mean, maybe I needed to replace the PWM chip. Maybe that was the problem. But it's in a way, it's a lot like power supplies. They're harder than they look. It's kind of like with desktop ATX power supplies. Everyone's just like, oh, you just replace the capacitors in them. No, it's not. It's not that easy. 9 times out of 10, you've got a MOSFET issue or a driver or something signaling the MOSFETs. I have recapped a power supply, an ATX power supply before, and I've taken apart, because I went through a phase where I wanted to try and do a video about it, and I think I took apart about 4 or 5 dead ATX power supplies, took the capacitors off of all of them, tested all of them, none of the capacitors were faulty. So from that, I could deduce that recapping them would not fix them, and so, everyone is always, whenever I've done a video where I've replaced a power supply on a computer, people have been like, oh, replace the caps in that, it'll be fine. I'm like, I don't think you've ever actually tried to fix one of these, because no, that's, yeah.
Because there was also, this is probably incorrect.
Yeah.
And is based off of my complete lack of knowledge, but based off of the issue with the gigabyte power supplies, the GP 750 and 850, was it? Last year. Based off of what is his name, Eros, on the Hardware Busters YouTube channel. The guy who actually genuinely is the guy to go to for anything to do with knowing about power supplies.
Fair enough.
He was saying about, apparently there was some issue with an issue with overheating of something because of the timing of the signal for the control of something and stuff. And I'm just like, when you're at that point where the power supply is having issues because of the timing of the control, not just the control and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, no, that is so many levels above even my attempt at understanding this.
Yeah.
I can't see how it's just a capacitor that's faulty with that. Yeah, exactly. The Greek guy.
Yeah. That is why power supplies are harder than they look. Just because, and I'm not saying that it's never the capacitors. I'm sure there's been some people. I'm sure there's a couple of videos on YouTube where people have recapped. I've recapped small power supplies. Yeah. Like I've got an infamous video where I recapped a power supply for a time machine where I got a zing off of the primary input caps. That was very funny. There was a lot of beeping and swearing in that video. So, and I recapped that power supply and it came back to life. So I'm not saying it's never the caps. However,
but that's also a passively cooled power supply, isn't it?
Yes, and also significantly less complex, and it was like 15 watts.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're in the realms of ATX, where they're cramming 1,000 watts into a box smaller than a sandwich box.
But also, ATX power supplies run a lot cooler and seem to get driven less hard.
True. Yeah.
So I think it's because of those factors, it makes it less likely to be the capacitors. And I'm operating at the absolute limit of my knowledge here, and basing this just off of LED bulbs and things like that, where they drive the capacitors at really, really high frequencies to make stuff smaller, and then they fail frequently, and just stuff like that. Where obviously, if you're trying to make something really small, you're going to be doing that. So I'd expect capacitors to be an issue in SFX power supplies, and flex FX.
And that's exactly why Flex ATX.
There we go. English.
And that's exactly why high wattage SFX power supplies and Flex ATX power supplies also tend to be platinum rated, because they're we have to keep the heat down or it'll just die.
Yeah.
Because we can't just stick big ass capacitors in there that can tank that heat.
Yeah,
because there's no room.
We can't stick 115C 5,000 hour ones in there.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's the same as in laptops. People often ask me, because I do so many capacitor replacements. Fuck this cooler, by the way. Could you pass me the big ass screwdriver?
Yes.
Thank you. Because I do so many capacitor replacements on laptops, people say, "Oh, what causes the caps to fail?" And it's because they have to be really heckin' small, which means they're running them on the red line all the time.
But as a lay person looking at a laptop motherboard, they don't seem to need to be that small.
No,
they do seem to be they could be 2 or 3 sizes bigger and not cause an issue.
Yes, you're probably
just
right
with
there.
a fractional shuffle this 1,000th of a millimeter that way, shuffle that one 2 millimeters that way. These could all be 4 times the size kind of thing. But I don't know if that's me as a layperson not understanding.
Yeah. At face value, I'm inclined to agree, but also I'm not a PCB layout guy. And I'd imagine there's a lot more to PCB layout than people think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe there's a reason. Or maybe it's just, parts supply is just small parts are cheaper because they're in higher volume or something like that. So they just use small parts.
And it's also the fact that cost optimization is so important, because obviously I look at a laptop and go, this laptop's £400 for this. I look at another laptop from another brand and go, oh, that one's 450 quid and it's the same one. Well, I'm going to go for a £400 one. And if I do that, what's a normal person gonna do?
That's it. And when you look in modern laptops and you see that anything that's not connected is not populated, where they're just scrubbing off every cent they can from the BOM, it's just well, that's it. If the smaller capacitors have less material in them, which theoretically means they're probably cheaper to make. To an extent, once you've got production nailed down. Anyway.
I don't. Possibly it's a case of they're cheaper to ship in volume, because you can put more per cubic area.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd possibly be more that. What was it? I can't remember who I was talking to. I was talking to someone about minimum cost of devices, and how there are some devices which we've hit, and it's a case of actually we cannot lower the cost of the product anymore, even if we were to take 90% of the cost off of the device, because actually all of the cost is the shipping cost.
Yes.
And I can't remember what I was talking about. I think I was talking about really cheap FM radios, actually, and it was a case of it was that.
Yeah.
And we're saying about actually the physical device moving it around the world is the cost, not the cost of actually making the thing.
Yeah, because after last week, when we were walking back to your car, we were having that discussion about graphics card prices and stuff like that, and just the cost of shipping containers and things like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people, when we're bitching and whining about how stuff costs more than it used to, and some of that is just down to the fact of is down to shipping prices. When the shipping prices are so high, it is just literally not possible to do it any cheaper, regardless of the cost of the product.
Yeah.
It's not about the product being more expensive. It's the costs incurred in distributing it.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a case that obviously that shipping cost happens everywhere at every stage of manufacture, as well as actually getting it to the consumer.
Yeah. I think we had a really shit mount on that, but it's not it didn't even turn on anyway, so it's not relevant.
It's also a case of it's not like you can particularly easily get a good mount with that cooler.
No. I'm very tempted. I don't know how serious we are about keeping this thing running. I might buy a shim for this because when I used to run an Athlon XP, I had a shim on it, which is basically it's a flat copper ring that goes around in a square that goes around the outside of the CPU, and it is the exact thickness of the die. So it basically means that you can screw down your cooler as far as it will go, and you will not crush the core because you'll hit the copper shim first. Most GPUs have a shim around the outer side of it. It's just stuck onto the GPU. So whereas you can buy ones that you literally just put on top. And I used to run a shim because I was terrified of core damage on these things.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly catch up on chat because we've been having a waffle and a rant. So
I'm just going to spin around and go, aha, it's over there.
Okay. Oh, right, yes. Yeah, if you could de-group that for me. Where were we? Yes, we're going to be doing some capping today. More on that in a moment. So Quentin Stevens said, how efficient can you make a PSU? Well, pretty darn efficient is the answer to that. Modern technology is amazing. However, I think platinum rating is something like up to 97% or something like that.
I don't recall.
The difficulty is that that is peak efficiency, and computers have a very wide range of power usage.
Yeah, with the platinum rating, there is also a minimum efficiency of something like 90.
Yeah. However, it's very difficult when your products can go anything from when your product can be consuming anywhere from 50 watts to 800 watts. It's very difficult to make a power supply that can maintain a high degree of efficiency across that entire range, and that's what gets you. In an ideal world, we can actually make really heckin' efficient power converters these days, but it's like the power band on a car. It's about staying in the power band. So,
well, yeah, 'cause it's like the thing about looking at the power efficiency of a VRM for a motherboard. Because you can supply like 100 watts of power from a VRM from a power supply and generate like 30 watts of heat.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, that's pretty good.
Let's see. Diodes and MOSFETs. Sounds like a Greek and Egyptian comedy duo. Let's see. Has shop been busy? Yeah, well, the shop is very busy at the moment. I've had a slow week, and by a slow week, I mean I've not been getting much done. I've just been overtired, so yes. No particularly interesting fixes. I haven't actually recorded this week at all. I'm in the midst of recording the CH341A version 1.6 video, which is not going to be terribly interesting. It's a BIOS programmer. It does what they all do. However, this one, it is the real deal. I have done the test. This has a voltage switch on the side of it. It does 5 volt, 3.3, 2.5, and 1.8 volts. And when you flick the switch, the VCC and data lines are pulled down to the appropriate voltage. So this is the programmer that does not require an adapter, which is very cool. So I'm going to carry on recording that after the show today, I think. That's
also pretty cool because isn't it like £5 or something? Nothing.
It's about $10, I think. So it's still super cheap.
Oh God, that's...
Yeah. It's still hilariously cheap, this thing. And the problem with the old one, the one that I've already reviewed, where is it? Oh, I think I put it to one side. The other version of this one with the black PCB is because you really need to do that volt mod before it's useful. Whereas this one doesn't require a mod and it doesn't require a 1.8 volt adapter. You don't need one of these. So it just means it's just like you can buy one of these download as programmer or neo programmer for free, and bam, you're off to the races. You're ready to start programming BIOSes. It's a very, very, very cheap way into BIOS programming.
Oh, did you ever find out what the name of that other programming software was?
Neo programmer.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I haven't looked at it yet, but I need to download it because Lead Farmer has been raving about it and was just like, you need to look at Neo Farmer. And I'm like, okay, I will. So yes. 50-year gamer with the £5 super chat. Thank you very much. Keep up the great stream, lads. We'll do our best. Thanks a lot, my dude. Hope you have a good day as well. Oh yeah, someone asked what I use for drive imaging. CloneZilla is one of my recommendations. However, I use Drive Snapshot, available from drivesnapshot.de. That's the one that I use. It is okay. It's very good when you know how to work it. I've been using it for years, so I know all the ins and outs of it. It's very difficult to recommend it because there's lots of, if it does this, then you do this. But if it does this, then you do that. Which is why I've never made a video about it. However, on the flip side though, I think recently I have managed to narrow down all of the really common pitfalls to the point where I think I could make a coherent video about it. Because the problem with the video is, if you make a video where you cover all the possible things that can go wrong, you have an incoherent mess, and everyone is just like, I'm just going to use something else, man. So, you know, it's about trying to make a video that is understandable, basically. So yeah, 16 USD, that was it. Yeah, still super cheap though. You do need to buy them from AliExpress, so it's slow-mo delivery. So if you do want one of these, I mean, for $16, just buy one. It's $16, man. Just order one anyway. Even if you've already got a BIOS programmer, have a spare. So just, you know, don't buy one now. Wait until my video goes up, because then I can put an affiliate link in it. So I have signed up for the AliExpress affiliate program. And yeah, I don't buy it. Wait for my affiliate link. Anyway, this stream is always inspiring. Good. Glad you enjoy it. Yeah. Okay, let's I would put a stopper switch to stop it from going to 5 volt by accident. Yeah, big time. Possibly. The other cool thing is, for reasons unknown to me, they stuck an IR transceiver on it as well. So part of me really wants to just find stuff with IR on it, like some old phones or old printers, and just be like, look, it's 2 kilobits per second, or something like that.
It's so you can update the firmware on your printer.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know why they put IR on it. Presumably someone... I can't understand a reason why you put... Like, the first one didn't have IR on it. I just don't understand why it's there.
Yeah. I love having IR blasters on phones. Certainly my Mate 20X has one.
Can you use it as a TV remote?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
And it's got like a bajillion different TV manufacturers in it.
Nice.
And it's just like, it's a universal remote.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's cool. I like that. It's situational, but come on.
It's a good party trick if nothing else, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Did we already do a monitor PSU repair? No. Well, I have looked. Yeah, I've dabbled in monitor repair. I don't these days, just because it's really hard to find parts. That much being said, the last time I was looking at it was before I was into board repair. So, you know, like these days, a monitor's power board, that's actually a good candidate for a recap, I would imagine. Most monitor when monitors fail, 9 times out of 10, it's the power board. And that is a time where it's probably not uncommon for it to be bad caps on the power board. So,
yeah. I'd also say that it depends on the manufacturer, because certainly for some of the old Dells I've been looking at, there seems to be part kits and stuff for them. So it's possible that some of the old Dells, well, the Ultra Sharps and stuff, because obviously they're professional monitors.
Interesting. That almost...
There's slightly more stuff.
Yeah. Almost makes me feel like I should take another look at my old Ultra Sharp Ps that I've got kicking around that have got bad power boards in them.
Yeah. It was also why I brought up the
Oh, no, that's bad backlights, although that could be the power board as well.
Yeah, it's why I brought up that 30-incher, because there's CF see replacement kits and stuff for them.
Yeah,
and it's just a case of I kind of want to do one just to do one.
Yeah, that if we could find a repair kit for that, it might be interesting. The reason why I haven't touched it is I'm just like, ew, CFC, you know.
Yeah, but it's also a case of it's a
CCFL. Yeah.
It's a pro grade one, so it's a case of it's not going to be utter garbage.
Yeah,
it's not going to be great, but it's not going to be garbage kind of thing, and that's why I'm just like, oh, it might be worth having a look at.
Yeah,
just to kind of see, because it sounds interesting. Not particularly useful, but just kind of interesting.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Samsung's data migration is good because it squashes large drives onto smaller SSDs automatically. Yeah, the problem is it doesn't work on anything that's not a Samsung SSD, which is a bit of a dick move from them, in my opinion.
Understandable.
Well, I think it would have been good PR for them just to make the software available, you know. And imagine, because if it was available for everything, it probably would be the weapon of choice for migrating SSDs, and Samsung would have their brand over the software that everyone is using to transfer to new SSDs. Although I suppose you can use it as a selling point. You buy the Samsung drive because you can use Samsung.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Big brain. Very well. Right, I'm going to do a quick waffle on this board just so I can actually start desoldering stuff while we waffle. Just to bring everyone up to speed who's trickled in since we started, this was the board from the old Lianli build that we were working on a couple of weeks ago.
Have we tried this with a different power supply? Have we confirmed that the power supply in that Lianli wasn't just goosed?
No.
And
we did jumpstart the power supply and it turned on.
But
however,
fan spin does not equal. What was it from the video? Fan spin
does not a working PSU make.
There we go.
I had to rename that one because I was trying to do it like Yoda speak, but there were so many comments from people who were not native English speakers going, "What the hell is this title?" And I'm just like, "Okay, I'm sorry. That was short-sighted of me." So,
but also it's legitimate English. It is legitimate English.
English is stupid, though. I think we
No, it is flexible, as proven by its ability to have puns.
Yes.
Amongst other devices.
I want you to go and tell Katrina that English is flexible and see what her response to that is.
It's flexible.
She likes puns.
It is capable of being abused in many ways that are factually correct. But cause great confusion in the reader or listener.
I'm going to go and get the Antec just so we can make sure that this thing is actually dead before I start ripping caps off of it.
Absolutely.
What's up, Paul Daniels? How you doing, man?
Dear. But yes. Oh, excuse me. It's true, though. There is much flexibility.
Well then, while I'm doing this, do we want to do what literally the rest of the tech community is doing right now and give our 2 pence on the Gamers Nexus Newegg situation? How much do you care about that?
It's awful.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty friggin' awful.
Yeah, because
the fact that magically it got resolved as soon as someone with a Twitter following mentioned something.
Yeah, that was
just
bull
like,
crap.
wow, that's scummy.
You know, I don't think we can use this one because this doesn't have a split 4-pin on it. So
you'll have to grab the.
I think we might need the game backs. Although actually, I think the 4-pin hangs off the left. Oh, it does. Yeah, we can hang it off the left. There we go. Hang on a sec. Let's get out. Let's just. I'm sure. There we go. That's fine. That's in properly. Yeah. We'll just make sure it passes the fingernail test. There we go. That passes the fingernail test now. That's fine. It's cool.
Oh boy.
I'm sure someone is going to be angry about that.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Let's see. What are we talking? Yeah, so the Newegg situation. Yeah, number one, it was just a classic case of so now and you got caught out because the customer that you were snubbing turned out to have 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. Now you're sorry.
Now you're magically phoning them regularly,
Yeah.
trying to speak to them.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. But it's also just the fact, for me, the big kicker was, have you watched the Gamers Nexus video?
I've watched both of them.
Yeah,
yes.
Same. So the big kicker for me was on the latest one where they were showing the board itself, that it had the Gigabyte RMA sticker on the board.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's just like, there's no way that anyone could have just made a mistake. This wasn't a case of someone, like, because the damage was in the CPU socket that was under the CPU socket cover. So, like, forget the sticker for a moment. There could have been a warehouse operative that just opened it and went, looks fine, and closed it again, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like, no, there's a big sticker on it saying, RMA from Gigabyte, this is broken. So it's just it's
the only thing I can.
It's only gross negligence or malicious intent. Those are the only two things, and malicious intent and gross negligence are functionally identical.
The only thing I can think of that changes that slightly is that they got a pallet load of stuff back from Gigabyte that had been repaired.
Oh, and it was mixed into
They
that.
had a pallet load of stuff that hadn't been repaired, and the two pallets were next to each other, and a guy was told, these are the pallet worth of stuff from Gigabyte that's been fixed.
Yeah.
And he went, cool, this all's all been fixed. It goes back into inventory.
Yeah.
Because it's been fixed by Gigabyte, we can therefore assume it functions, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the only saving grace I can think of there. But then to have denied the RMA because you said the CPU socket was damaged, when there was a sticker on the board from Gigabyte saying that the socket was damaged.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the point where you go, oh wow, this has gone so dramatically wrong.
Yeah,
that's the point where you go to the client, I'm so sorry this is screwed up. This is a complete mess. I'm so sorry. We're going to do something to sort this out, but at the very least you're getting your refund sorted.
Yeah, I think that is the kicker, because for any...
It was the fact that no one tried to fix it when there was a blindingly apparent...
For any single one of the issues surrounding this scenario, I'm just going to do a quick on-off. I'm 99% certain this isn't going to work. For any single one of the issues, you could come up with a way... You could come up with a legitimate reason where there was some kind of just human error mistake. But when you combine them all together, you're just like, no, how did it get this far? Yeah. How did it get this far without someone going, whoa, you know? Yeah. I think that is the kicker, is just, at every step, like whenever I've watched other people giving takes on this, they're just like, oh, this could have happened and this could have happened. And you're like, that's very reasonable. That may well have happened. And then they're like, but then also there was this. And you're like, oh, wow, now that's just completely blown out the water. Yeah. So it's just, and this all couples with the fact that, you know, Gamers Nexus also said in their first video how they had heard plenty of stories about this. They'd just never really done anything about it because it was anecdotal. And then it happened to them, and then now they're kind of paying a bit closer attention. I think this is going to get bigger before it dies down. Yeah, you know? I'm hoping it becomes legally bigger, if that makes sense. Yeah, and starts becoming a problem on that front. Yeah. Before we power on, actually, I'm just going to see if I can find my postcard, because that might just give us a bit more information. Yes. Fingers crossed. I don't know where it is, though, because I don't get on with that postcard. It's never given me anything useful. It's never done anything for me. So it tends to keep getting kicked aside because, I've tried it a couple of times and been like, nope, this is not useful. If I were looking for it, I'd be looking for it down there, personally. Actually. Because that's kind of where stuff goes to... I love stuff. Goes to mature without interruption from humans and I can't see it. I'm giving up. No, we're going without it, especially because I don't think this is going to work anyway. So right, and stabby. Oh, we need some. Oh, we've got a chipset fan. That'll do. There's also the power supply fan. Oh, there we go. Oh, how about that? How about that? Spinning fan does not a working power supply make.
Fuck's sake. So...
I said this was going to be a scuff stream when we went live.
So what we need to do now is get a heatsink on there.
And see if it posts.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered. Okay.
Come on. Come on.
I did. Okay.
The
Okay.
teeniest blob of thermal paste.
Yeah. All right.
Also,
all right.
do you have a PCI graphics card, or do we need to use the one that came in the PC?
Grab the one that came in the PC because I probably have a PCI graphic card somewhere, but I'm buggered if I know where it is. Is the thermal paste over there as well, by the way, next to the Lianli? Because I can't see it on the bench.
Yes.
Oh well. Right. Let's see. PC Bolt says.
There you go.
Thank you. PC Bolt says I've got an NZXT C750 PSU, but not turning on. What diagnostic steps can I apply on circuit? Yeah. Well, the first things first is when you've got a power supply. First thing you want to do is unplug it so it's not plugged into anything else, and ideally, there are special devices for this, but what you want to do is identify the green pin. Where's a pair of tweezers? There they are. You want the green pin and any black pin, which is usually the one next to it. So green pin and black pin, and power supply is turned off at the back, and if I chuck my tweezers into there, and now if I click on the switch at the back of the power supply, the power supply turns on. So the green pin, when you short that to ground, that is the turn on signal. And the power supply will stay on as long as that is pulled to ground, and it turns off if you release it. So that's the first thing you want to do if you've got a suspiciously faulty power supply. Because if you do that and the power supply doesn't turn on, it's a dead power supply. Now, as we've literally just discovered, just because the power supply turns on when you do that doesn't mean it's not faulty, because that's exactly what has just happened to Caradog and I with this old Lianli. We did this test 2 weeks ago on the Lianli's power supply. The fan clicked on, we thought it was a dead motherboard. Turns out, no, the power supply doesn't come on when it has a load. So do that. If your power supply is still faulty, if you still identified that the power supply is faulty, honestly, I don't know. We've just had a conversation about power supplies being complicated. So, yeah.
If you've done that, to be honest, to a degree, almost a case of if you have another power supply and you plug that one in and that one works and the other one you've got doesn't, just RMA it.
Really, the only true test of a power supply is to swap it to a different one and see if the problem goes away.
I'm also kind of at the point where I'm like, even if I'm like, that power supply seems a bit dodgy, just chuck it and get a new one. They're like 40 quid kind of thing.
Yeah, 50 quid. Yeah, power supply prices have come back down, haven't they?
And I'm like, sure, that's wasteful, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want the rest of the PC dying because I went, sure, I'm going to reuse a power supply I'm suspicious of.
Maybe.
So
I've never seen component failure from a bad power supply.
No, but
I live in fear of it, though.
But it's the case of it's like, or I can get a new power supply.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it's like, I realise that's a first world thing, but yeah. Also, I'm uncertain where your HDMI DVI adapter is.
There is.
Because it's not in the back of the monitor.
Is there not one on? There's one sitting under the monitor on the Lianli over there.
Is it? Oh,
yep.
Okay. I didn't expect it to be over there.
Well, it was.
Very well.
Very well. Have a nice day.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to put on a small amount. I have no idea how much thermal paste to put on these anymore. Yeah. Well, yes. I'm putting on that much, and
dramatically less than you think you need.
Yeah.
And then even less than that.
Yeah. All right. So let's stick this guy down. Yeah.
Are you just going to unwind the screws and just plonk it on top?
I don't know if we can do that because we've got these little pads there. So
all we're looking for is post.
This is true. Yeah, Yeah, I'll do that. I'm probably going to hold it down with one hand though, just because. Yeah, missing one of the washers doesn't matter. Those washers aren't doing anything anyway. Right, which way round did this guy go? It went that way round, I think. There we go. Right. Are those screws sticking through too much? I think they kind of are. I'm going to put the screws on just because this is an old CPU and it probably doesn't have a lot of thermal protection on it. If this was a modern CPU, I'd be like, who cares? It will be fine. But because...
Also, the other fact of if it were a modern CPU, you'd be like, who cares? Buy a new one.
Yes.
I mean, that's not the correct attitude, but at the same time, it's like...
Yeah.
If it actually comes to that, it's a case of, well, that was my mistake. I can still get a new one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to dick around too much just because, yeah. This is one of those times where I remember having this stuff when it was new, but I think this is. But there are so many things that I'm wondering now that make me realise how little I knew back then, because I have so many questions now, which I'm just like, why did it? What? How do I not know this? Considering this isn't my first rodeo with this socket, you know, and it's just like, yeah, just. I just never asked these kinds of questions, I guess.
But it's also the point of we've been alive too long is the fact that the conversation I had the other day was the Teletubby sun baby has a baby.
Well then. That's a very strange statement, but also I completely understand that.
But like,
who in the chat understands that? The Teletubbies sun baby has a baby. Who understands the gravity of that statement? So,
It's just like,
well then. Right, let's hang this off the side. I'm just going to adjust the camera. Yeah, Paul Daniels does. Yeah, you feel old now? Yeah. That is awkward. Yeah.
It's not it's not as bad as a conversation I had with someone else where we were talking and they said, "Oh, we're the same age, aren't we?" And I went, "Are we?" They went, "Yeah, you're 24." And I went, "No."
Yeah, this is why in my GIF collection I have that GIF of the dude from Saving Private Ryan, Matt Damon in Saving Private Ryan at the end, where he's standing over the captain, and he just suddenly ages into the old man in the graveyard again, and you're just like, oh, you know, oh, and I'm only in my mid-30s. God, I'm in my mid-30s. The late 30s are dangerously close. And I think...
It's okay, don't worry. Apparently your 30s are just like your 20s with more money.
Yeah, maybe. Except I see people in their 20s who have more money than me, and I'm just like, you bastards, you know? Oh, well. Meanwhile, all the oldies in the chat are just like, get off my lawn, actually. Because I know you're out there and I respect you, so... Very well. Let's see if this thing works. Right, have we got all we need? We've got some memory in there. We've got cooling. Yeah.
We have a graphics.
This thing should post now, so let's find out if this posts. We're plumbed into the live gamer. Bam. So yes. And okay, here we go. We on? Cool. And Shazam. Right, we've got a green light. We haven't got a red light. Don't know what that means. We've got signal out of range on the live gamer. Let's just try reinitializing that and see if it will come good. Otherwise, we'll switch to
the $10 capture
Yep,
card.
I will switch to the 10 good. I'll switch to all reliable. So, hold up a minute. I found the Live Gamer Mini, by the way, so I need to try switching out to that again and see if it works better for
Wasn't it just on the bench over there?
Yes, next question. Has your EVGA capture card shown up yet?
No!
Has it entered the European Union?
It is in Lisbon, maybe. Still.
That might be plugged in.
I'm just intrigued by the fact that, yes, it appears to be like a Polish shipping company's tracking number.
AliExpress card.
Do a function.
No, that is not plugged in properly. I need to shuffle some USB ports about.
See, this is why you need a Thunderbolt card.
This is why
for a different USB controller.
Yeah, this is why I actually need a USB hub back here. What can I unplug that's not going to kill the stream? What's that? That's the bench cam. We need that.
Ah yes, bench cam. I require this.
What don't I need? I don't need the Logitech. What's plugged in there? What are these? That is the power supply and... Isn't that the face cam?
No, that's the power supply.
Oh, that's the other cheap one. Okay, yeah, we can lose that, and then yes, I can move these around. Right, we'll drop that. Apologies if I kill the stream doing this.
No, OBS seems to still be responding.
I believe I've only unplugged stuff that we don't use on the live stream. So, okay, now there is space to plug that in properly.
Oh, there we go. It is setting up a device. There you go. It's sorted.
Ugh.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, I saw someone asking what monitor I'm using. I'm using a TV.
Mad lad.
Yes, absolutely. I'm using a LG CX55 something as my primary display. It is good.
Burning up or anything, are we?
There is a small amount of warmth.
Yeah, that's fine. Right. Oh my god, just defaults. USB video. There we go.
Hey! It works!
Yeah, right, let's just go.
Look at that. Look at that.
And then I shall just bring that down underneath us. There we go. Athlon XP 1800, folks.
Amazing.
And the extra memory worked as well. That was Nick Smith, who I called out last week. He sent in a mini care package that had a new nozzle for my air compressor and another 512 megabytes of RAM that I've shoved in this board. So now we have 1 gigabyte of RAM. So yes, try killing it by swapping caps.
No.
Well, I don't know. Some of those caps look pretty gross. We could swap a couple of them just because we can, but yeah, I don't know. What are we going to do now? Other way up. Yeah. I suppose we could have a route around in the BIOS, I guess, couldn't we?
USB keyboard.
I'm impressed that it picked that up. Yeah, I'm impressed it picked that up without a reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how USB should work, but at the same time, this is 20 years old.
Yeah, I knew a USB keyboard would work. I didn't expect it to have hot swap USB at post.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at this and going...
Recap. Oh,
I'm looking at this and going, I vaguely recall stuff looking like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Verifying DMI pool data, I always remember that, because that's what it would hold on.
What was the DMI? And
I have
what was
no idea. So what's DMI pool data? Anyone know? Because it would go to DMI pool data, and then there will be a delay while it finds your Windows install. So I just always remember reading that line, and then Windows would start booting. Because if your Windows install was screwed, that's where you get stuck. speaking of stuck, yeah. Do you want to let me reset? Where's reset?
It appears to not be doing the...
Bam. What are you doing? Just delete. Are you just mashing all the common buttons?
Yes.
For BIOS? Yeah. You've got about a 5-key salute going on there. Oh no, let me reinitialize the cap card. Huh? No. I have the big concern. This might need a power cycle. Yeah. And yeah, a PS2 keyboard might be a better bet.
There is one over there.
There is one directly behind us, yeah. Cool. So
I'm going to...
Yeah, let's switch out to that. Let's turn it off for a sec. How hot is our CPU getting? We are building heat on that. I'm going to stick a fan on the CPU just so we don't have to keep an eye on it.
And there's the PS2.
I got something special for this. I got something special.
Uh-oh.
It'll be great. You're going to love it.
I have concerns already. Okay, I'm dramatically less concerned now. I thought it was going to be one of those Corsair RGB abominations.
Corsair, no. Abomination, yes. I'm not... right, hang on a sec. Let's turn that off. A customer, or a viewer rather, dropped in a couple of bits for repair this week. If you're in the audience, by the way, sorry I was very tired yesterday. Hence why I was a little bit short. I apologise, but I was very tired and very stressed yesterday. Anyway, he also drops off this. I'm not going to say anything. We're just going to turn it on again. So, yeah, here we go.
I'm excited.
So am I. I'm very excited. Right, let's see if we can get into the BIOS again. DMI Desktop Management Interface is an abstraction layer provided by your system management BIOS. It provides information about your computer's hardware to your operating system. Interesting.
Huh.
That kind of makes sense, yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool. That kind of makes sense why you do that just before you start the operating system. It's the handover, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Blammo. Oh, I think I messed it up. I should put an actual switch on this. Blammo.
It's even better.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
AMD Athlon. It's not actually an Athlon 64. God, that's displaying a lot.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah, you actually need to be able to see what you're doing. Ali card. Let's migrate you up to there-ish maybe, so people can see the fan. And reactivate. Nope. It's displaying a temperature as well. That's neat. I think there's quite a lot built into that. It's a lot clearer to the naked eye than it is on camera. The camera's given it a good shot.
That's so clever.
Yeah, I mean,
I still think those things are so clever.
They are very cool, aren't they? Yeah. It's remarkably clear to the naked eye. Like, in 2003, or, well, even 2005, that thing would have been awesome, you know. I think that would have been really cool to have on your CPU as well. Yeah.
I'm impressed by that as well.
Oh yeah,
just by how well it freeze frames.
The sweep is pretty cool, yeah.
That's awesome.
Right.
I'm super impressed by that.
Let's see. Ali card. I'm just gonna defaults, deactivate, USB video, activate. Yeah, this thing isn't posting anymore.
I'm going to unplug this.
Yeah, I'll hit the reset one more time.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I need a better... Hang on a second. I'm going to see if I've got a better button so we can do button presses better.
Do you not have the little doodad?
It's not a standard front header. The front header is a proprietary layout. But I've got another set of buttons somewhere that's got a full breakout cable on it for this exact situation. But of course I can't find it when I need it. The other possibility is that I took it to bits to steal parts from it, which is also quite possible. I
unfortunately can't help you because I don't actually know what you're referring to.
Yeah. It's got 5 seconds for me to find it, otherwise I'm going to get bored and I'm going to stab it with a screwdriver again. Nope, I shall carry on screwdriver stabbing. Alright, we ready to go again? Here we go. Power on. Blammo. Blammo. Reset the BIOS again? Yeah, that could probably be it. Or, like a lot of people are saying, maybe it's all of those domed capacitors. It's possible that it worked while it was cold and now it's warmed up, it's fallen over. It might be worth... I might also... Oh, we don't have pass-through. Yeah. Come on, capture. No.
No.
I think we'd be getting... If it was outputting a picture, I think we'd be getting it. I don't think the capture card is dicking me about. I think we should recap this motherboard, Caradog.
Sure.
Or we should replace the... Or at least we'll do the most obvious guys.
The most egregious.
Yes, the most domed of boys. Cool. All right, let's do that. All right. All right. Well, it did something. Let's take this thing apart again. Where's the clip? There is no clip. Okay. That fan was a giggle. I wasn't expecting it to be that good, actually.
Yeah. I wish fans like that were still a thing.
I think they are.
But, like, good ones.
Maybe.
But, like, an actually good fan with that on.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So I think that would be kind of cool to have on your front panel. Like, your front mesh panel for it to have, like, the ambient air temperature on it.
Yeah. You know what's also good, though? Just having a screen that displays that stuff.
No.
You know?
No.
These things... Here's a hot take. This is solar roadways.
No. No, because
Putting
that's...
a display on a fan.
No, because that's functional.
Yeah, okay. Zing. But, yeah, I don't know. You got a hammer. No! No, it'll be great. You can measure ESR in circuit. I don't have a proper ESR meter, is the problem with that. I've got
Is there a kit one you can buy on AliExpress?
Probably. Yeah, well, you can get a little pair of tweezers that do ESR measurements.
What?
Yeah, it's literally...
That's cool.
Yeah, but ESR is something that I never have to care about because I'm dealing with SMD stuff that's gone bang. If you do a lot of retro repair, then ESR meters are your best friend, but it's just not something I feel like I have a use for. So yeah. Oh, yeah, thanks. Turn off the input. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Make sure to moan at us if we're on the wrong camera or anything like that, because I think it was last week we spent like half the stream on the wrong camera.
Maybe. A little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know the worst part is I watched the entire stream and didn't notice?
Huh. Interesting.
Because I knew which cameras we were on, so I was just looking at that part of the screen.
Yeah.
And then realised, like, 30 minutes later, I was just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the problem. For the setup we have here, our live preview is mostly covered up or not very visible or a small part of the screen.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in a way, what we actually need to do is just have another monitor visible in front of us that actually has, this is what the audience is seeing, sort of thing, or something like that. But
genuinely need to eventually just get the 42-inch TV over there, wall mounted, to replace that Mac.
Yeah, maybe.
Eventually.
Or just putting the stream on that Mac would actually be quite a good idea. Because that's just something that we can just see at a glance. But
yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, right. Okay, so let's have a look at these capacitors. So, these capacitors, there is an annoying variation of capacitors on this. When I did the socket, whatever it was, the Core 2 Duo board on a video a while back, there were actually only about 3 types of capacitor on the entire board. They'd done a really good job of minimizing the bill of materials. This is not like that. there's like five or six different values of capacitor across these ones. So it was actually very annoying to order replacements. The only ones we have are the 1000 microfarad 10 volt boys. These are really cheap ones. These are not premium capacitors because this is not a restoration. We're just kind of messing about and just doing a little bit of learning here. Maybe if we actually did something cool with this, I might actually say, okay, let's actually put Panasonics across the whole board. Today, I don't care about that. So yeah, they were TPOs. Yeah, they're TPOs. T-posing more like, ah. Anyway, I need the camera controls up for this as well. Longitude, remind me in 8 hours. Specifically 8 hours. Right. Bam. And 1, 2, 3. There we go. Right, so these are TPO caps that are on here, and the replacement ones I bought are Hongfa. So equally high quality. But I mean, if these things last for 3 years, I think that'll do. Anyway, so all of the ones that have domed are the 1000 microfarad 10 volt caps, which is why I made sure specifically to buy those values. So we can reasonably say that all of these green caps are all crap. However, all of the ones that have actually failed, let's go for a big close-up shot just so you can see what the failed ones look like. Whoop. In we go. Let's go for the big, juicy close-up of that boy there.
Does it, with capacitors, you can replace them with effectively a different specification one, can't you?
Yeah.
As long as the capacity and voltage are higher than what it needs?
The voltage needs to be equal or higher.
Yeah.
The capacity needs to be the same. However, capacitors themselves, generally speaking, are quite often 20% tolerance. So they're not precision instruments. So the capacity only needs to be about correct. And broadly speaking, according to Dave Jones from EEV blog, 9 times out of 10, as long as you're in the correct order of magnitude, it'll probably do the job. However, when we're replacing capacitors, for obvious reasons, ideally we want to do like for like, because that's what it was engineered for.
But why does it... So, as someone who doesn't understand, why does it matter if I use a better component? Why would that be a problem if I use a better component?
Well, it depends on what role the capacitor is doing as well, because the problem is capacitors do different types of roles. For example, you might have a bypass capacitor which sits next to a chip and provides a small reservoir of power. So if the chip suddenly takes a gulp of power, there is literally a small battery next to it to take the power from. Because on all of the power lines in the circuit board, if a chip takes a gulp of power, you can think of it in a way it's like elastic. It pulls on the power lines, and the power lines have inductance on them, which means the power stretches and then it follows up behind. So if the chip takes a gulp of power and it pulls on that power line, you need a reserve of power nearby for it to pull in. Otherwise, the chip will take a gulp of power, there's no power there, and it locks up and crashes. So that is why you need bypass capacitors. So for that, the value is fairly irrelevant there. It just needs a volume. You could probably massively overspec a bypass capacitor and it won't matter. However, another common use of capacitors is filtering, where you're filtering frequencies. So you're filtering ripple on the voltage lines, and the capacitance will be tuned to filter out specific frequencies. So if you change the capacitance, it will filter out different frequencies and might miss the ones that you need to remove.
So the capacitance sets what frequencies it can filter? Potentially,
yes.
It's not the...
Yeah. The voltage is just simply how much voltage the capacitor can tolerate.
But it's not the... Oh, I've forgotten what the unit measurement for response time is.
Oh, ESR.
It is ESR.
Yeah.
It's not the ESR that sets the frequency.
That is a component of it.
I see. It is more of a triangle than a
yeah.
equals. Oh, I see.
Yes. Okay. So we're getting onto the edges of my knowledge here. So this is going to be very generalized, and I may be slightly wrong. There are people in the chat who probably know more about this than I do. The ESR is equivalent series resistance.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, everything has resistance. All the wires have resistance. So when we take a capacitor, like one of these guys, what we have here is not just a capacitor. It is a capacitor with a resistor on it because the wire has resistance. So if you're trying to charge and discharge this...
I see.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually have a resistor on it, but
that's why
the function in the circuit is. Yeah. Because obviously when you're doing...
equivalent.
Because when you're doing a circuit diagram, you're doing the idealized diagram assuming zero resistance of every component.
Precisely.
Right. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why it's equivalent series resistance, because the wire itself has some resistance. Now, it's a negligible amount of resistance, but if you have, say, a surface mount cap, like, for example, let's go to... Have we got any capacitors on the back of the CPU here? No, bad example. Where's the graphics card, actually?
Yeah.
There we go. So this GPU has bypass capacitors on the back of it. Now, these guys, they're at a really high switching frequency because this is on GPU V-core. So if you've got power being charged and discharged on this rail at 100 kilohertz, the capacitor needs to charge and discharge 100,000 times a second.
Oh, God.
So the tiniest amount of resistance is going to interfere with that. So
sometimes when you think of the frequencies that stuff happens in a computer, the number of times per second that actually is, you just kind of go, oh.
Yeah. So that's when ESR starts to matter. And also, for example, if you're on an audio circuit, obviously audio, you're dealing with what, 20 kilohertz to 100 kilohertz, something like that. For
20 hertz to
20 hertz to
20,000 hertz.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So obviously your capacitors, they could, if you've got a 20,000 hertz audio signal, that's how quickly they got to switch. So when you get into that realms, the slightest bit of resistance might be making a difference. So low ESR might not be. Might not matter too much, but if the capacitor has failed, the ESR may go sky high to the order of ohms as opposed to milliohms. So obviously you're going 2 orders of magnitude up there. So at that point, ESR matters. So high ESR is a failure mode of a capacitor, and that's what we're going to be looking for in these failed caps. Meanwhile, stuff is going on in the chat. Let's see. Oh, Paul, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Best of health and best wishes to you, where possible, if you see what I mean. It's very difficult to give a humane response to that in the midst of all of this. However, best wishes, man. What you're looking at?
The complete lack of through-hole capacitors by comparison.
Oh yeah. That's kind of interesting. Hang on a sec.
And the fact that obviously you've got a whole bunch of... You've gone to teeny tiny surface mount and stuff.
We're just bringing in a semi-modern motherboard here for a comparison. This is a Bitcoin mining board, so it's not an idealized... I got it. It's not an idealized representation of a motherboard, but certainly from here you can see how they've massively cut down on the number of through-hole capacitors that a modern board has.
Yeah, and you've just got a whole bunch of surface mount ones here, surface mount one there.
Because they're cheaper and higher response.
And they've got the better response.
And the only reason why they've still got through-hole ones around here is just the volume of capacitance you need. Like, these are 270 microfarad 16-volt capacitors. So the thing is, you can't fit that level of capacitance into an SMD cap. You can get close to it. No, actually, no, you can't. A 270 microfarad SMD cap would probably top out at 3 or 4 volts. So you could get the capacitance in there, but it would only tolerate a couple of volts. Whereas obviously this guy got the capacitance, but it's got to be able to take 12 volts. Yeah. So, yeah.
Why are capacitors not in farads? Why are farads so big by comparison to the thing that they're used with? They seem like a completely disproportionate unit.
Yeah,
because you're talking about
microfarad is a large amount. Yeah,
1 microfarad is 1,000th of a farad.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Or is it a millionth of a farad?
It's 1,000th. Yeah, yeah. That is correct, isn't it? Yeah. A microfarad is 1,000th of a farad. Yes.
So why are we effectively using units that are 1,000 times too large?
Yeah. I don't know. Does anyone know the answer to that? Because it's kind of like how, because most of the other units of measurement we use, ohms, volts, and stuff like that, we generally center around the 0 mark. Yeah. But yeah, farads, I don't know anything that actually deals with an entire farad.
Yeah, there you go. It is millionth.
It is a millionth. Oh, okay, yeah.
So...
yeah, I forgot millifarads are a thing. Yeah, so yeah, I forget how small micro is. Yep. Because the power needed is so low on PCs. Yeah, was there anything, like, when did they use a farad capacitor? What would they... I mean, I guess probably the original capacitors were envisioned to be batteries. They were probably trying to build a battery, weren't they?
I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm going to start marking stuff.
Am I being... ignoring technicality, am I being inaccurate to say that you could directly convert watt hours to farads? They are measuring the same. They are measuring the same empirical factor at, they are measuring the same real world phenomena in vastly different sizes.
The problem is a watt hour accounts for a total volume of power, whereas a farad does not account for the voltage. Well,
or is a farad a milliamp kind of thing? A milliamp hour kind of thing.
I don't know. The problem is we're outside of my expertise here, because while I've done a reasonable amount of repairs, this is the point where I need to remind everyone that I have no formal electronics engineering training, and when you're self-taught, these are the kind of gaps in your knowledge you have. This is the stuff they teach you in college when you go and learn electronics engineering, and I didn't learn electronics engineering in college. So, I don't know is the answer to that one. So, yeah. Car audio caps, I've seen those with farads, and they are effectively small batteries of questionable use. But, that's getting into the weeds. I don't think that was the original intent for Mr. Faraday, though. Oh. A farad equals 1 amp times 1 volt.
Okay. So,
but isn't that a watt? Yeah.
So if that is the case, I mean, irrespective of the actual unit size, perhaps, if that's what it is,
but then perhaps we're talking. It's kind of like the difference between a milliliter or a liter and a meter cubed. A farad is 1 watt stored.
I am about to directly read the Wikipedia.
Okay, we're reading Wikipedia, everyone. And while Caradog does that, I'm going to start reflowing solder joins on the back of the biggest domed capacitors. And we're going to start recapping this hecking motherboard.
The farad, symbol F, is the SI-derived unit of electrical capacitance. I think that's the point that I'd missed. It's a derived unit, not a...
What is a derived unit?
It's made up of units.
Okay.
SI-derived units are units of measurement derived from the 7 base units.
Yes, I'm with you, yeah. As in, it follows the milli, micro, etc.
No, as in it's made up of parts. It is not a constituent... It is not a base thing.
It is a sum of units.
Up of units.
In the same way that watts are volts times amps.
Yes.
It is the unit of a watt is comprised of 2 other units combined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
I had forgotten that, which is why I hadn't considered that, which is why it didn't make sense. Yeah. Right. The farad is the SI derived unit of electrical capacitance. the ability of a body to store an electrical charge. Fine. It is named after the English physicist Michael Faraday. In SI base units, 1 farad is 1 kilogram to the -1 meters to the -2 s to the.
This is the point where my eyes start going cross-eyed, if I'm honest.
Seconds to the 4 amps to the. What? What is this?
This is why I don't learn the theory, because my eyes just go cross-eyed. I'm like, nope, you've lost me.
So it's dependent on the mass of the object, the size of the object, the time, and the current.
Bloody hell. It's complicated then, is the answer. Also, bloody hell, this capacitor does not want to come out. I'm trying to take these things out in one piece so we can measure them, but it's going tooth and nail.
So 1 farad is 1 coulomb divided by 1 volt. Is that right?
Oh, come on.
Is equal to 1 second over ohms. What? What? I'm reading this and going, excuse me? Yeah. 1 farad is defined as the capacitance across which, when charged 1 coulomb, there is a potential difference of 1 volt. Okay. Equally, 1 farad can be described as the capacitance which stores 1 coulomb charge across a potential difference of 1 volt. Yes. The relationship between capacitance, charge, and potential difference is linear. For example, if a potential difference across a capacitor is halved, the quantity of charge stored by that capacitor will also be halved.
Yeah.
For most applications, the farad is an impractically large unit of capacitance. Most electrical and electronic applications are covered by the following SI prefixes: millifarad, microfarad, nanofarad, picofarad.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh God. Oh no.
No, let's just put it there.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no. There's so many equations.
When the equation appears on the screen and then you scroll, and then you keep scrolling, and then you keep scrolling, you know that this is something that you shouldn't be attempting to understand in real time on a live stream.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Oh God. Yes. Where F equals farad, C equals coulomb, V equals volt, W equals watt, J equals joule, N equals newton, S equals Siemens.
Let's move that out of the way.
I'm so lost. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
So anyway, how's the weather?
For the 10 people that are still watching, you know.
Oh my God.
Okay, so this is my component tester. It's a really scruffy little thing. However, it tests components. Here's it testing an LED. You turn it on. By the way, I calibrated this for those who've seen this before, and you'll notice the LED will blink a couple of times. Oh, it's not seated properly. Let's do that. Do it again, please.
Did the calibration make a meaningful difference to its actual accuracy?
No idea. Anyway, there we go. So that tells you it's a diode. It's an LED. So that's what this thing does. And this has, see this one, it has an ESR of 2 picofarads. So yeah.
What? How's it?
Because
resistance measured in farads?
Oh, sorry. That's not ESR, but this has capacitance in the same way that a capacitor has resistance in the legs. Everything also has capacitance in it as well. So yes, sorry.
Yes. Okay.
I completely bungled that. Ignore that. This is the problem when you're riding on the edge of what you know about electronics, is you're always this close to being correct and also this close to being completely and utterly wrong.
Oh my God.
All right.
Oh my God.
Let's see. Okay. The legs on this are too small to fit into the thing, so I'm going to try and hold it against the pads. That's not too bad actually. I'm just going to hold it against those pads and let's push the button and see what we get. This isn't going to be very flattering to its ESR. I could solder it to the pads. $128 microfarads, ESR 8 ohms. I think that's a bollocks reading, if I'm honest.
However, that's kind of cool.
Because it's supposed to be 1,000 farads, so I think that's a bollocks reading.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, the legs are too short to fit into the socket.
Yeah.
I need to fashion or make a widget that allows me to fit something where the legs have been chopped off into that socket, so I can still get a good connection. Or what I might do, at the risk of, I don't want to solder up these, because these pads are designed for SMD components, and if I put big old solder blobs on them, that's not going to work very well. But I might just put some cheeky ones at the bottom, just so we can actually demonstrate this. Because all we need is one clean demonstration of this, and I can point out, we can look at this and be like, look, there we go, that's how it's failed. You know, solder wires to it. Yeah, that's pretty much that. You had a headache earlier on. How's that going now?
It's fine. I am now distracted by not having a clue what's going on. How do I live chat? Oh, there we go. That's how I live chat. Right. I'm going to quickly go through there because I'm sure lots of people have been correcting me and explaining this, and I'm going to be like, aha.
Also, I think Lead Farmer might be right, and I might have to solder legs to this. Oh, there we go. I found a position that works.
Yeah. Oh. How many kilocalories does a 20 microfarad capacitor hold? No, do not. Do not.
If a capacitor leaves London travelling at 100 miles an hour.
What colour of light what colour of light does the photon that is emitted when it becomes excited?
Yeah. Oh. Right, okay. So I've soldered this to the pads, and it's still bollocks. We've now got 160 microfarads with an ESR of 6.5 ohms. So my God, that capacitor is completely cactus. And looking at the domage on that, it's not even the worst one on the board. So that's kind of interesting at how terrible that is. This has catastrophically failed. Yet it's actually not domed very much. I'm surprised at that. I didn't think it would be that bad.
There you go.
Caradox had one too many farads.
Oh boy. Oh,
right.
boy.
Okay. So that's that. I'm going to take this off the board and carry on desoldering caps now. So we've done. Yeah. So the takeaway here is you can see how by measuring this on the widget, we have shown how the capacitor has failed. The important thing to note is that on plenty of these caps, we might find, so this is a 1,000 microfarad capacitor, 6.3 volts. It's entirely likely that a lot of these caps probably might still clock in at like 900 or something like that, which is fine. But the ESR on them is very high, which is why they're not functional. So,
can we put a new one in there?
Oh yeah, sure.
Where's it go?
Oh yeah, okay. So you need one of the middle ones and anywhere else.
So here?
One notch to the right. It has
What do you mean middle? Oh, I see.
Yeah,
there.
That's right. It has to hit one of the middle ones and another one. Then close the lever.
I'm not sure the left leg is actually in.
It'll probably be good enough. That looks
and then
good.
Just boop.
Yeah, just reboot it because it's probably a bit confused. No, I think that's got a. Oh, there we go. It's rebooting. Let's just see if it comes good after the reboot. Testing.
So this should be reasonably high because it's still got long legs.
Yeah, there you go. So look at that. 987 microfarads, 0.1 ohms ESR. And
oh, I thought that said 10. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, it's still 0.1 even with the long legs on.
That's because it's a through hole. This is why we use SMD.
Because, no, I meant it's as low as 0.1.
Oh, I see.
Even though it has long legs on compared to that.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to test and go, oh, actually, it doesn't look this. It made this not look like it had failed by that much because of the length of the legs and stuff still on it.
I'd be interested to know, you know what? Let's just do a quick test, actually. Let's just cut those legs in half and see if it actually takes anything off of the ESR.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I don't know if this would be accurate enough for that, but yeah.
Yeah. One of the things to bear in mind as well, though, Stalam, is that this thing is not particularly accurate because we've got just a weird clamp going on here. It's not a soldered... Like, you know what? Just for testing, let's solder it on. Let's just find out how much we're losing in the clamp.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Let's just snip these legs just so they're equal length. I'm not going to bother doing the short leg test. I don't think that's actually going to make a meaningful difference. However, we will solder it to the pads just to see how much we're losing in the clamp. But the thing is, even though it's not great, the important thing is that it's not measured in ohms kind of thing. That'll do. And our survey says...
So are you even certain that this can go below 0.1?
It's higher. No, I'm not certain.
Yeah.
I think I have seen it lower than that. I think I've seen SMD stuff go lower. Well, we can test that as well.
Interesting, because what is the V loss measuring? Because that's 1% higher.
That's a good question. Does anyone... What is V loss? I don't actually know what V loss is. I'm going to grab an SMD cap because I've got a brand new one to hand here that I chucked up here. Oh,
I have a brand new one that's mounted on this magnet.
Yeah, this is what I keep dead caps that I've taken off of boards. So if I need to do a demonstration, because at some point I'm probably going to do another demonstration where I'll need to sabotage a board, and I'll actually want a dead SMD cap. So I'm hanging on to them so I can do another demo at some point. One of these is...
Paul Daniels says that V loss is the voltage lost due to the ESR.
So I read Katrina's response and saw something completely different. V loss is the voltage lost due to the ESR. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
V loss is the stuff you put between your teeth.
Because, of course, that was a cheap joke and it was still funny. I'm laughing because you're laughing. Stop that. Where were we? Yeah, because obviously if you have resistance, you lose voltage through that. So, yeah.
So, it's a percentage of what? Because how is volt...
Yeah, because you can't measure the voltage rating of a capacitor, to my knowledge.
So if you can't measure the voltage rating of a capacitor, how does a capacitor gain a voltage rating?
I think they test them to destruction.
Okay.
I think is the answer to that. Yeah. Okay, right. Here comes an SMD cap. Okay, we're not getting an ESR reading on that one. However, also this might be the short. That's reading nanofarads. This might be a shorted cap. I'm just going to try this boy on there.
My name is Velos, Baroness von Velos. Excellent.
Let's just reboot the thing. Okay, that one's actually dead because it's reading as a resistor. So,
how much capacitance do you have? No.
Yeah, this is a 0.15 ohm resistor. So let's just pretend that that's a current sense resistor. So it's still useful for something. I think I might just need to. I might just crack out a brand new SMD capacitor. I want to see something that has a low ESR, just so I can be like, good, this thing does measure low ESRs. I'm sure I've seen 0.0 somethings on this. Maybe I'm going mad. Do MLCCs even have it? Yeah, of course they've got an ESR. They must do. Yeah.
Everything has an ESR.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. It's not, unless it's too low to read, I don't know. Yeah. This is clearly supposed to be a 100 nanofarad capacitor because it's clocking in at 87. So allowing for tolerance, that's intended to be a 100 nano. So yeah, like I said, 20% resistance. They will be, yeah. And these are not high quality capacitors either. So, you know. But again, with capacitors, that's good enough most of the time. Yeah. Okay, I think we should carry on recapping the motherboard because I don't think we're going to get a useful demonstration out of this. If I was making a video about this, I'd spend an hour finding some idealized components that give a decent demonstration. But obviously we're on the clock, so... good. Right. Let's carry on removing stuff.
So what did you learn today?
Screams externally.
What did you learn today? I learnt about existential crises.
Yeah. How much cider have I had? Not enough. Not enough.
More is required for understanding of this topic.
Yeah, it's not too late to crack one out. I'm actually very tempted to send you to the kitchen.
I'm going to send you to the kitchen. You may not return.
You are dismissed. Yes. Could I have a can of cider, please, Caradog? Thank you. Otherwise, there'll be someone in the comments going, "You're so rude to Caradog." We're friends. We're allowed to. All right. If I was making a video about... This is a stream, not a video. This is a stream, not a video. So, yeah.
The videos are professional by comparison.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh.
It was the plastic box.
Yeah. I get afraid when I hear loud noises like that.
It did very much sound like something going...
Push the BIOS chips. Sometimes it doesn't make good contact. Yeah, we should probably do... Where is... Oh, yeah. We should probably do that anyway, but we've started ripping caps off this board now. I'm not going to do the entire board. We're just going to do... we're going to do some. And so I'm just going to walk this guy out. Luckily, these ones are narrow enough that I can get both legs at the same time with the iron. Come on, come out, you bastard. There we go. There's another one out.
So, why are you using a soldering iron for this?
I could probably...
Also, why does it look like it's wet?
That is flux residue or some other manufacturing residue that's just gone hard. No idea what. So yeah. I could hot air, but hot air might damage the board. I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? Use the desoldering gun. Actually, that's a very good point. When I was doing the other board, I didn't use the desoldering gun because it was broken. I kind of don't want to use that now because the desoldering gun is really loud. So just to walk, although we need to clear the holes anyway. All right, I'll get the desoldering gun out. And we'll just have to...
mute and unmute.
Yeah, maybe. I might actually hand you the board and you might have to just... We might have to actually tag in, tag out. Because...
Hello again.
Yeah. Remember, whenever you've seen the desoldering gun in a video, I've had that at... I've ducked that clip to 20% volume. And people still go, wow, that thing's loud. I'm like... You haven't heard it, you know? So... put extra solder and then suck it out. Yes, that's the plan. I don't have a solder sucker, though, just a desoldering gun. I need to get a solder sucker.
I thought the desoldering gun was a solder sucker.
It is. It's a mechanical solder sucker, but a solder sucker is generally implied to be one of the... Have you seen the handheld ones? You know, the little piston things? They
are a thing that comes in every crappy soldering kit.
Yes.
And you look at it and go... The fuck is this?
I actually need to buy one and practice with it because when I was learning soldering in school, I was always just like, I don't get it. However, now I actually know more about soldering, I feel like I might actually know how to use one. Can you plug that in for me, please? So, yes. I'm going to go yoink. So, yes, we'll use it. However, yeah, this thing is noisy, which is why I don't like using it. So yes, they do work. It is true. It is true. So yeah, and yeah, we will. What I will do, I will wet the joint when I'm using the desoldering gun. I tend to wet the joint with the because the soldering gun has effectively a soldering iron on the end of it, which is one of the things that makes it different from a solder sucker. A solder sucker you have to heat with the iron and then quickly put the nozzle in. This guy actually self-heats. So right, I'm going to hand this over to you, Caradog. So I positioned the mouse pointer on the mute button for the mic there. So you can now just mute and unmute. So
very well.
Yeah. We'll have to tag in and out. The stuff on the board is probably dried electrolyte. I don't think it's come out of the capacitors. I've seen that kind of stuff on boards before. I don't know if manufacturing uses some kind of weird flux that actually goes hard or something. My crystal ball. Yeah, if anyone is on headphones, well, I'll demonstrate how loud this is first, just so you guys can see.
However,
we will give a warning. Yeah. Yeah. This is your early warning. There are going to be loud noises in a minute.
Loud noises.
Are we up to temperature? We are still heating. Oh, there we go. That has just finished heating. There we go. Right. So, firstly...
This is a warning.
Noise warning, noise warning. That's how noisy it is. It's not that loud to us here, but I think that it peaks the thing. So, yeah. How bad was that? Do we need to duck, or was that tolerable? You've destroyed a lot of masks trying to use a desoldering gun. That's not so bad. Okay. Yep, there we go. Right. Okay. Let's tidy up some pins then. So, I'm going to move in for a close-up. I'm going to come in at quite a steep angle just because then you can see under the desoldering gun. All right. Caradog, if you can make it over to there, to the manual focus, and just tap that to the right a couple of times. That'll do. Cool. Right. All right. Here goes nothing. So I'm going to flow some extra solder in there. Ah, lovely. That's a clean hole. Right. 2 dual pens and Caradog pulling caps would have been easier. Maybe. 3 arms would have been easier. Heck, missed it. You've got to hold this thing exactly upright. Ugh, I haven't used this on a motherboard before. It's nearly there. Let's try and go the others. The nozzle on this is a bit too big, but I can't find replacement nozzle. Easy. Yeah, I think these holes are a little bit too small. Given time, I think this would work, but I'm considering these are through-hole components. Oh, that sounded good. Oh, that was a good suck. That was a good suck. Less talk, more suck. They clamp one leg. Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. I'll try using it to remove one now and just see how that works out, just to see if it makes removing the old ones easier. So, who's next to come out? So, we're going to grab this guy next. There. Which is this guy here. There we go. Right. Oh, I took my eye off the board. That one there. Yeah. However, the desoldering gun hates flux. Have I just blocked the nozzle? I think I have. Oh no, no, we're good. Yeah.
Suddenly it's a penny whistle.
It doesn't want to go. I'll try this one more time. Honestly, I feel like I was making quicker progress with the iron. It's nailed down nicely. Yeah, I don't think this is working out for me. I think I need a different nozzle, but I feel like I was making faster progress with the iron. Sounds like your nose after a Colombian party. Oh no. Right. Legs are so close together you could blob across them. That's what I was doing with the iron, pretty much. So I'm going to go back to that method because I think we were making better progress. Right. Yeah, it was worth a try. Yeah, I still have had... This is really good for clearing up holes, but through hole I've had limited luck with it, if I'm honest. I think I need more practice. Flux might have helped, but again, it doesn't like flux. It clogs it up. So, maybe. So yeah, sometimes you think in retro computing it's actually more important to be good at desoldering than soldering. I actually agree with that. It's not as easy as it looks, especially if you want to be going careful so as not to damage things. So, right, I'm going to readjust focus. Let's just go back like one step, I think, because I'm going to be holding the board up right. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, right, that's that guy. And the iron's gone cold.
And it's hot again.
Yeah, it's coming up. I'm coming up. It's probably enough.
Something I want to ask you to do at some point is to replace one of the buttons on my mouse. Because I don't know if I've got a hardware issue of the mouse where it's registering double clicks, or whether I've got a weird software issue that isn't like the gaming software.
Yeah. It's probably the mouse button wearing out, because missing clicks or double clicking is pretty common symptoms for a failing button.
Yeah.
Or a switch per se.
Yeah.
Go.
So I need to test one of my mice on another computer because the back seems to have stopped working, but I can't tell if it's a hardware fault or a software fault.
Ah, yeah.
Because sometimes it works, but only when, like, in a virtual machine.
Ah.
But, like, if I'm not in a virtual machine, it doesn't work. And stuff like that.
Ah.
Or, like, if I've started the computer up, stuff on the computer up in the right order, it will work.
That's very odd, yeah.
But I'm like, no idea if intermittent hardware fault, and I'm thinking it's a software issue, or actually it's a software issue that I've made worse kind of thing by trying to fix it and thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, certainly plugging it into another computer will answer that question, so...
But yeah, it's just the fact I'm just like, I have done the bamboozle on myself.
And that one there. I should probably be counting how many of these I pull out, because we've only got 10 capacitors.
You are presently on 4. This is your 5th.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you could do 11 and then measure out of the 10 you take off which one is the least broken.
Possibly, yeah. I'm aiming for any domed ones, first of all.
Yeah.
There's one. There's that guy there. Keeping my eye on it, because as soon as you take your eye off the board, you lose where you were looking.
Wait, was it that leg or that leg?
Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
Boop. It's easy when the capacitor doesn't have anything around it and you can get your fingers around it to pull it out, but when they're stuck in a cluster and you're using your fingernails to try and walk it out the slots, it's just, ugh. Okay. Right.
Dual action desoldering.
Yes. Dual wield.
How do you eat your cream eggs? 2 at a time, baby.
Right, those are all the domed ones. And that was 6 we took out? Yes, 6. So we've got a couple of extras. So I'm just going to quickly scan around the board and see if I can spot any more 1000 microfarad.
When did onboard audio become a thing that you expected to see? Because I just suddenly went...
Not long after...
Oh yeah, there's no onboard audio.
Not long after this. Like, I'm pretty certain... Did the Nforce boards have onboard audio? Like the Nforce 2 chipsets? Like that kind of era. I'm pretty certain they had onboard audio. I could be wrong. But like, because when I saw 8-bit on this, I thought this was going to be an NF7S, which was one of my favourite Nforce boards. And I might, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the NF7S had onboard audio. And I think that was probably sort of the era where it became a thing. Because at that point you had onboard SATA, onboard audio, onboard Ethernet. That's just when all the usual suspects just came built into the motherboard. And just suddenly you just didn't really need PCI cards anymore. Whereas also, yeah, this has got no onboard SATA either. So this is fairly early Athlon XP. So...
There's an Anantech review of the NF7S.
Oh, lovely.
Nforce 2 6-way motherboard roundup, December 2002. There we go.
Okay. Right, I think that is... Oh, there's another 1000 mic 6.3 next to one we took out. Let's pull him out as well for good measure. I think we've had... The ones I'm taking out are 1000 microfarad 6.3s, and we're going to replace them with 1000 mic 10 volt caps, which is good enough. And I think I'm just going to do all of the 6.3 volt ones, because those are the ones that all seem to have been dying. Presumably those are on the 5 volt rail, which my knowledge is the 5 volt rail gets a bit of a hammering.
That's a little bit of word soup.
Yeah.
The RTL8201BL is the physical layer for the Nforce Mac integrated into the MCP-T. It is interesting to note that A-Bit did not take advantage of the dual integrated Macs in the MPC-T, unlike Asus.
Duh.
And I'm just like, yes! Engage word soup.
I feel like we needed to reread that, but with adenoids. What was it again? In order to take advantage of Nvidia's Nforce 2 Ethernet, A-Bit has outfitted the NF7S with a Realtek 8201BL Ethernet PHY.
Yeah.
Thanks, iMac.
Thank you.
My data transfer is finished. I do actually need to call a customer in a minute and tell them to come and pick that up.
Do I also need to angle the screen?
I'm pretty certain it's out of focus.
It is in frame.
Yeah.
I will do it all.
Yeah. Stick a box in front of it or something like that. Thanks. Right, okay, I've pulled those off. We're going to stick on some new caps now. We're going to put in the new ones. We're going to try it again. If it still doesn't work, we'll press down on the BIOS. We should probably reseat this BIOS chip, but I don't want to touch that and change more than one thing at once, because then we might actually know whether this board whether this has actually helped or not. Very well. Okay, let's start up the top here. So I'm going to make a second attempt to clear... No, I'm not going to try and clear the holes.
How do you know which way round it goes?
So we know which way round it goes because the caps are marked on the negative pin. We've got a stripe on the side, and on the top of the board, you can see we've got a white mark.
Oh, there is actually a mark on the board.
They are marked.
Sorry, I meant on the board. How will you know? Yeah.
And generally speaking, that's not the case on this board. The last board I did, all of the capacitors actually all pointed in the same direction.
Oh, that's handy.
And while most of them seem to be pointing right or down, there's a couple of exceptions in there, so that's not reliable. But as a trend, most of them, the negative is down on the vast majority of them. So there is a pattern, but it's not reliable.
Interesting.
Okay, so we're going to go in that way round. Now, because I haven't cleared these holes, I basically need to flow and push at the same time. This Yeah, this is going to be time consuming. Let's see how we do.
Yes.
Right. So far so good. And the other one. So now I'm going to use the same trick and just heat both pins at the same time as I push through.
Yes.
Oops. That felt like it was going horribly wonky there.
There we go.
Right, and that is one cap on. And there's the leg sticking out. So now we'll just reflow the joins on that leg, snip off the excess, and that is a new capacitor in that board.
Whilst I realise it isn't sort of that binary, is the actual flow in and out of the legs going through the solder at effectively the bottom? Let's phrase that with actual English. The electricity going in and out of the device, is it actually going through the solder? And is that the only actual contact? Or is there contact through the hole?
In reality, there's both. In an ideal world, for a perfect join, you would want a layer of solder between the two devices, I think, for a perfect join.
But sorry, I mean the hole is electrically conductive the entire way through.
Oh, I see.
It is not
yes.
just surface conductive.
It depends. That is called a plated through hole, as in the inside of the hole is plated.
Oh, I see. So this hole would only be conductive at the top.
These ones are probably plated through holes. However, as you can see, these screw holes are not plated on the inside. There is no metal on the inside of those holes. This is the notorious issue with, for example, the NZXC-H1 riser cards and so on. So a plated through hole, the inside of the hole is plated. Non-plated, it's only the top and bottom. So on a really crap tier circuit board, you probably don't have plated holes. However, on a motherboard like this, I'll be very surprised if these aren't plated through holes. But on the other hand, this is an old board as well. I might, modern stuff, absolutely you'd be plated through holes because never not. But old stuff, I don't actually know. It probably depends on if it's... Well, no, I actually don't know the answer to that. I would expect them to be plated, though.
Right. So if we were to look at one of the holes sort of at an angle, you would see metal going into the hole.
Correct, yes.
Right, okay. So it's conducting effectively the entire way through.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But, for example, if you were on a really old board that was, say, single-sided or maybe even double-sided, the chances are they probably wouldn't bother plating the through holes. However, even this board will be 4 layers, I would imagine. Although I'm not an expert with PCB design, so yeah. Good, right. We have
I also didn't realise you had little bits of plastic on there and there.
Yes, I'm not sure. We've just got some random bits of plastic on the board here. Those are on just a couple of very large components. I don't know whether they just decided that those were high risk of short circuits or not. One of them is...
on the BIOS
One of them
battery.
is for the BIOS battery, and the other one is on a large capacitor here.
Yeah.
What's the rating on that, boy? That is a 16-volt capacitor, so that is on the 12-volt rail. So it might be... But then, these guys are pretty exposed, and they haven't done anything with that, so... Who knows?
How odd.
That might be a bodge. They just found that those particular ones were at high risk. So, yeah. Fine. Okay, I'm going to start putting on capacitors.
Absolutely. So, not related, but an interesting thing that I found is a verifiable. No, how? As a rumor that has multiple sources.
Yes,
that's a better way of phrasing that.
Multiple people have seen one tweet.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
Yeah.
However, yes.
No, but also yes. Yeah.
Apparently the 3050 isn't being made anymore.
What?
Apparently there was launch stock only. apparently the 3050 was launch stock only because it's using the 106 die, and it's supposed to use the 107 die. And the only reason it got launched now is because the 6500 XT came out.
So are they going to re-release it?
So it's effectively going to get re-released at some point later in the year with the 107 die.
What's the 107 die again? Is that the 3060?
No, the 106 is the 3060 die.
Okay.
And it's basically the 3050 is currently using fused off 3060 dies.
Okay, yeah.
And the 107 is, I think it's a redesigned core, specifically designed to... It's a redesigned core, so it's physically smaller.
Oh, yeah, higher number is lower, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if a 101 existed, it would be probably 4 times the size of a 3090.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But, yeah. So apparently that's a thing. Also, those legs are just bending.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Come on, chat. There we go.
So yes, I have.
It's going to need some help, that one.
Independently asked around the question. And apparently that is something that has been not necessarily confirmed, but something where they've said we are not seeing people pre-ordering and we don't expect to get any stock.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall.
Kind of thing. It's just a case of certainly something that appears to be indicated at.
Yeah.
And it's just like, interesting.
Yeah. Do you reckon Nvidia saw the 6500 come out in all of its awfulness and were like, well, guess we didn't need to bother with that then?
No, I think they won't. We need to release something very, very quickly, which is ever so slightly less crap.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what its real price is. Give it a fake price that is £50 more, and then make AMD look bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we never actually supply it. We did a launch.
Yeah.
And all of the review channels are going to go, don't buy the AMD thing. Because look at the Nvidia thing. Because most of the review channels seem to completely ignore the fact that we're in the second year of this market. Yeah. And they're acting like it's something that will be over in a couple of weeks. And I'm like... Yeah. Sure, I get your philosophical point, but please enter the real world.
Yes. Yeah. 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 That's terrible, man. Yeah, that makes me sad because I did pick up a 3050 for £290 this week, which I was quite happy about because that's a fair price, I think. I think that's how much that card should cost in the current market.
Yes.
You know, like, let's be real. You're not going to, like... Because, you know, let's be real, you're not going to find anything better than that. You know, if you bought a second-hand card, you know, you'd be looking at, what, 2060s or something. Ow! I just stabbed myself with the capacitor. You'd be looking at 2060s or something like that, and they're going to cost you £300. Or failing that, you'd be looking at, like, what, 1660 Supers? That's going to cost you more than £300. That's going to be more like 350 to 400.
Yeah.
So £300 for a 3050 is actually how much it should cost right now. However, I'm not expecting to see another one of those.
No.
So yeah, I'm thinking of putting it in the Intel i3 build.
Yeah, that was where I was thinking of it for.
Yeah. I got incapacitated. Oh.
Yeah, because they're getting listed in Europe on here for between €350 and €430.
Yeah, the 6500 is not far from a 1070.
As long as you don't use more than 3 gigs of VRAM.
Yeah. Citation needed. I think that's going to be
and then it becomes a 16 FPS card.
Yeah, I think that's very circumstantial. Come on.
The 1650 is depressingly this close to being acceptable, but the problem is it's not. Was your soldering iron turned off? Have you considered turning on your soldering iron?
I need to get a better cable for this because you'd be surprised how often that happens. I'm sitting here going, I'm losing heat. Where am I losing heat? And I'm just like, oh, the soldering iron is off. That's probably why I'm losing heat. Something. This is not a... Well... Someone will say, oh, that's what you get for using one of those soldering irons. I don't know. Also, though, my God, this capacitor just does not want to go in. That hole is heated through. Come on. It's very difficult working on two sides of the board at the same time. Right, let's heat the hole before I poke it. Because the problem is, the leg of the capacitor becomes a heat sink, preventing the through hole from heating. My God, it's still not going through. Are you kidding me? Are we actually going to have to get the desoldering gun on that? Let's try flowing some fresh solder on there again. We are sitting on a ground plane here, which isn't helping. I think that might be why I'm struggling, is there's a ground plane that's just sucking up all of the heat. Come on. Oh, my word. How is that not going through? I'm going to have to try poking it from this end, I think. This is a bit of a dangerous gambit, though, because then you've got to heat two sides. Or failing that, this might be a cause to get the desoldering gun back out again.
And just try and clear the hole again.
Yeah, and actually just clear the hole. This is where you'll come a cropper with this strategy that I'm using. Is most of the time you can just heat and press, but sometimes that won't work. All right. Massive solder blob there to carry a bunch of heat, and the leg bent.
So you're getting the desoldering gun out?
I was going to say, could you plug the desoldering gun back in for me, please, Caradog? Thank you. Yeah. Use hot air for assisted heat. Yeah, I could do. Preheat it, maybe. Yeah, cut half the length. Yeah, I shall do that. I need to anyway, because there's a solder blob on the end of the capacitor now, so... Right, I've cut the legs down a bit, so now there's less to bend.
Is there anything I can do to be useful?
Not really. Well, yeah, not terribly at the moment.
Is there anything I can do to be useful? No. Oh.
Sorry. Right, I'm going to give it a little bit of hot air and just preheat that area a little bit. I'm not going to go mad because there's a lot of plastic and capacitors around here. I'm just going to put some heat into the board. That'll do. Literally just give it a quick zap just so the area is hot. It's astonishing how much energy the hot air station puts into a board compared to a soldering iron. Right, come on. In you go, you bastard.
Also, just a case of you were saying about the difference in the hot air stations. Just about, the world of difference between that and the cheap one you had.
Yeah. Big time. That's still not going to do it? No. It almost feels like I'm trying to solder on two different holes. That's nuts. All right. This was also the one that was giving me trouble with the desoldering gun, I think. Oh, no, it's those ones. Fine. Whatever. Let's see if we can clear the hole with the desoldering gun.
I will.
Caradog at the ready with the muting. Apparently you were on point with this earlier on, so...
I was actually just trying to remember to duck to, 20% or so it didn't sound, just so there was still stream sound.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a solid blockage in there. Right. Let's put a big old... Well, that's as good as the top's going to get. Let's try the other side as well. And camera's in the way, so we're going to go slightly off kilter here. Scanner got a 3050 Ventus for $330. That's the one I bought at $290. If you're desperate, $330 is not horrendous, but once you go over £300, the value goes. Right, and heat. Oh, does not want to clear. This is getting irksome. This is getting very irksome.
Need to stuff something stronger through it?
Possibly. What have I got?
The cleaning rod?
It might be too thick, but let's have a look. Oh, I think it will fit, actually, yeah.
So just hot air it from one side and
Yeah.
stick it through?
Let's try that. Let's try that. A lot of people suggest using toothpicks for this, like wooden toothpicks, and I'm like, how small are your toothpicks, man? Right.
Just small enough for your teeths.
Let's turn the air down. Let's go with that.
I mean, for my Vloss.
Yeah. Just poking this solder blob so I know when we're up to temperature. Oh, you know what? Oh no. Oh, there we go.
You know what? It's now soldered to the board. Did I leave us muted? I did not.
That actually works a treat. I'm going to do that on all the other holes now.
I'm a genius!
Yeah. I don't know if I'm giving too much heat here, but whatever. Let's get going. We're past the 2-hour mark. So a small sewing needle would do the job. Yeah, this is the cleaning rod for the desoldering gun. So it's functionally identical.
I also just like the fact that you can see all of the traces so wonderfully clearly.
Yeah, none of this black PCB rubbish.
How will pictures of teeth help? No, that's pick with a K. With a K. Oh dear.
Right, what other ones did I rip out? I've got to look for flux residue on the board now. We took off 6. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was another one over yonder somewhere. Past the fields.
Look at the field in which I grow my... and see that it is barren.
We took 6 off the board, but I can't see any more flux residue. Oh, there it is.
Zoom. Enhance.
Time for you to turn in for the night. No problem. Thanks for dropping by, Paul Daniels. Always a pleasure. We have a habit of running for way too long on this show.
Or possibly you're just overly optimistic.
That, yeah.
Also, are we going to be Johnny on the spot and pre-order from the Thai place?
We could do, actually, yeah. Oh, this hole feels smaller. There we go. The holes have been poked.
Are there, legitimately, are there different sized
Holes?
holes for components?
Yes. Most of these are all the same. However, for example, I'm pretty certain... Oh, no, those are the same. Yeah. You will see components with different sized legs, and thus you get different sized through holes. They are mostly similar.
Component specific, or are they like board specific? So would different components have different size holes, or different boards have different size holes?
Components, I would say. So yeah, but I mean, likewise, these holes, for example, there's some big capacitors across here. Those are almost certainly larger holes. But I don't know the standards for that though, so I can't really give you a useful thing.
Ah, yes.
So yes,
They're coming out the wall sphincters.
yeah. Oh, That's an exciting stalagmite of solder I left there. I left several of them, actually. It's not ideal.
You can soldering iron them now, can't you?
Possibly. Knowing my luck, they'll go straight into the holes, though.
Well, then go...
Maybe.
them.
Where was the cut down? There it is.
It's there.
Thanks. Right, okay, let's do the what did you say it was? Uftama.
Absolutely.
All right. I hope this is entertaining.
It is something.
Balmy magician, not much. we have removed some capacitors from this board and we are putting new ones in. This board kind of, for those of you who have joined in halfway through, this board kind of sort of works. We had a post out of it, but then it locked up and we never saw anything else out of it.
We also demonstrated the fact of we should have tested the power supply.
Big time. So we suspect that the board works when it was cold, but died as soon as it started warming up. That's my theory, anyway. Probably good enough. No! I'm not going to touch that before I make that worse. Alright. Sod it, I'm rolling with that. Let's see how we do. We've cleared the ones that were giving us trouble. So, right. Camera up. Whoop. So we're going in there, I think. Oh god, that hole is... I've knocked that hole askew. Am I actually going to have to do stuff to that hole again? Yes. Okay.
What is 4R7?
That is 4.7 microhenries of impedance.
So why is it an R?
Next question. I was hot airing this, wasn't I? Bloody hell. Oh, bloody hell. I've gone and balked it again, I have.
Balked it on your way to the gin house.
There we go. Right. Let's go into zoom mode. No prizes for neatness here. Okay, that boy's just jumping straight in now because the holes are clear. I will bend the legs because I don't care.
Did it.
Yeah, and I could probably put in a couple more now. Now we've got clear holes, we can just pick and place. I have been doing this the long way. However, I didn't really want to hot air this board because I was a bit scared of damaging the other caps, if I'm honest. I'd imagine half the caps on this board are probably on a hair trigger, but we'll see. Now we're actually making progress. You know what, that rod trick worked a treat though. I'm actually going to do that in the future. The only reason why I didn't do it is I didn't think I had anything suitable for it, and I didn't think of using that cleaning rod. That was actually very good.
Now the question is, how do you clean the cleaning rod?
Just hot air it to death, basically. I'll just stick it under the hot air at 450 degrees maximum airflow, and just continuously wipe it down on the wire wool. That guy's not clear. Can I cheat? If I chop down that leg.
Oh my god.
And then put that one in first. And then we've only got to heat one hole. That was fine. I don't know why you're cringing. Oh, the iron has crashed. Damn it. I hate it when my soldering iron crashes.
There's probably a new firmware version where it specifically says soldering iron no longer crashes.
Not gonna lie, the pencil locks up now and then. It does happen. Not frequently, but now and then it does actually freeze. Speaking of which, I need to put the Hall effect sensor in this that I've got, which would be cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, you were saying about that.
Yeah,
you have a sensor somewhere.
A chap whose name I can't remember right this very moment sent in. I think I've got the note over there. He sent in a couple of the Hall effect sensors for the pencil that enables it to have an auto sleep function. Let's see.
I cannot easily spy it.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Making a bit of a mess of these solder joints, but...
Saundeg 3. Saundeg 3.
Yes, that's the guy.
I suddenly saw a bill for an address that wasn't yours and went, ah!
Plenty of bills for my address here.
Yes, have you considered checking your post?
Maybe. If it's not a legal threat, it can wait.
Until what? It becomes a legal threat?
Yeah. Don't lend me money. Okay, right. That one needs a heckin' poke again. We're still on shot. Well, close enough.
Mostly.
Can you use Hacko tips with a pencil iron? I hear that is a doable thing. Yeah, I've heard that the Hacko tips do fit on the electronic irons, but they're a bit unwieldy. They're quite long, so like your tip is out to here, like it's out to there or something like that. So you've got a bit of a wand instead of an iron. Not sure how on board with that I am.
So how do hey how does Hacko soldering irons work then if they aren't electronic things like that?
Well, the electronics are all in a base station effectively.
So they are the same thing, differently designed.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right,
the idea
okay.
of these electronic irons, it just brings the whole thing into the handle.
Yeah.
Instead of having it on a box, which I think just adds a lot more. You know, it's one less box sitting on your desk.
Yeah.
But yeah, pros and cons. The Hackos probably have better thermal control and precision. But
wouldn't that be down to the tip though? Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, to an extent, yes. But also down to just delivery. You know, just how quick it switches the iron, how quick it switches the element on and off and stuff like that. I think. I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes. I certainly. I think it's also down to power handling because the electronic irons tend to top out at about 60 watts. And I think that's just because you can't reasonably fit any more power than that or power handling into the handle.
Yeah.
Whereas the Hacko irons can go up to like 70, 80, 90 watts and which means that the tips can then have more power to put more heat down.
Yeah. Is that really where soldering irons top out? Is only around sort of that amount?
Certainly for these small irons, yes. Big irons obviously go much higher.
Oh yeah, I meant like the base station ones. Do they only top out at like 60 or 70 watts?
Probably higher than that. I've not looked, if I'm honest.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
It was only because I was watching something and they were soldering on a ground plane and they were having problems and they were still using like a 70-watt iron. And I was like, well, if you're soldering on big ground planes and you're already using a 70-watt iron and the ground plane's too big for that,
yeah,
and you can't really go higher, how do you do it?
Yeah. You weren't watching the LTT video by any chance, were you?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Okay.
Oh
yeah.
no, because they've just done one about shunt modding a 3090. Haven't
Yes, and
they had problems.
I don't think anyone who's an experienced solderer got through the first 5 minutes without going, "Oh my god!" Just because they made such a hash of it, and I think
it was.
I didn't cringe because they made a hash of it. I cringed because at LTT they couldn't afford anything beyond the shittest, cheapest rework gear that money can buy. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Is that the best you've got?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and like, as I say, when you're learning, you sometimes have cheap tools. And when you're learning, you sometimes make a hash of things. I've been making a hash of this. But that's also part of the learning experiences. And I guess in a way they were demonstrating how it could be harder than it looks. But also, like, I don't know, they had a Hacko soldering iron, but also it was a heater in handle, not heater in tip Hacko. So it was a cheap one, you know. And just, I don't know what the hell happened with that video, but that it was just, yeah, they were getting something even though they had a crap Hacko, I find it hard to believe that they couldn't have just cranked the heat up.
I'm also amazed that a crap Hacko is apparently that crap.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I would have expected Hacko to have had a minimum viable product.
Yeah. In addition to that, the other thing as well is that they do have a hot air station, because I've seen it in other LTT videos. It's a crap one, blower and handle style. However, the other thing as well is that if your iron is struggling, a very valid strategy is to preheat, which is what I did here. It didn't make a huge difference, but I've preheated in other situations where I've been soldering on ground planes. You preheat with the hot air station just to warm the board up, and then your iron doesn't have to heat that massive ground plane. Yeah. And again, it was just lack of technique. And again, I'm not angry that they made a hash of it, but it does beg the question that LTT, who Linus Media Groups, they couldn't have gotten some tips from elsewhere or done a little bit of research on what to do beforehand. Or
especially as Buildzoid was involved in the video.
Oh, I didn't get that far. I didn't make it through the first 10 minutes. I was like,
okay.
Yeah.
Buildzoid was involved with the video. I'm like,
come on, Buildzoid has been learning soldering, but he has learnt soldering now, and he's now doing VRM repairs.
He at no point ever inferred that he was good at soldering, just that he could get it done.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I don't know. Either way, it went horribly wrong, and just, I don't know. It was painful to watch. They have the same Hacko as Lewis. You sure?
It looked like they had the teeny tiny one.
Yeah, no. Lewis's iron is heater and tip. I don't know my Hackos very well.
They had the single unit one. Because isn't the one with the heater and tip the one which is kind of the unit with a bit on the side?
I mean, they've all got a box that's kind of has a rounded top on it. So they all look similar, but the massive difference, again, for those of you who aren't familiar with irons, there is a massive difference between when you have a soldering iron. Hang on a sec, let me grab. I've got a heater and handle tip. I'll just show you the difference, just so people know.
Also, I'm just going to unplug the desoldering gun.
Oh yeah.
Because that is no longer required. You have completed your service.
Come on. There we go. It's in the window display.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's the one attached to the... Yeah.
So this is my old iron. This is the WEP. So this soldering iron, there's the tip, there's the heating element. Notice how the element is in the handle of the iron, and the tip just kind of just sits there, and it's it's not a good join, man. It's terrible, and that kind of just goes over the top. It presses on. Imagine fitting your CPU cooler with no thermal paste, like zero thermal paste, and then make it 10 times worse, and that's the kind of thermal connection we've got there. It's terrible. It's terrible and awful. So this thing, I've never done any tests on this, but if you run this at, say, 400 degrees, I'll be impressed if the tip is actually at 350. So 400 indicated at the element is probably closer to 350 at the tip. By comparison, these electronic irons, here's the TS100, the heating element is in the tip here. So when you change the tip, as you can see, we're changing the entire heating element. So the heating element is all bonded into it. So that means you get absolute maximum heat right up to the tip. And that makes a massive difference. That is everything. That changes your world. So,
aren't in-tip irons actually reasonably modern?
Yeah, they are. Yes, in the grand scheme of things, I think they are very modern. But we are talking within the past decade, though. But on the other hand, within the history of soldering irons, the past decade is modern.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are a lot of old Hackos kicking around that people have probably had since 1902. It's like, my Hacko is amazing. And it's just like, yes, but also it's very old. So this looks a lot like a Hacko does, because these things are built to look like Hackos. But yeah, heater in the handle, terrible, basically. Modern ones, heater and tip, completely different animal. Completely different animal. Night and day different. changes your world. It's why these tiny poxy little electronic irons can do motherboard rework.
Because they're more efficient.
Incredibly more efficient, yeah. So yeah, the amount they put vastly more heat down onto the board compared to heater and handle ones. And in the LTT video where they were doing the shunt mod, heater was in the handle. Go and look, if you've watched that video, go and look again and you'll see that it has that collar, that ring collar design on it. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to have a real bad time. So yeah. But the tips are also more pricey. If you had a hacker or something like that, yes. But also this is why I love these cheap electronic irons, because these tips, they're $10 or $15 each. So this is what a lot of people go sort of, oh, you've ruined your tip. I'm like, I don't care. It will be $10 for a new one. They're £10 in the UK. I can buy this on Amazon for about 10 quid. Delivered next day. Thank you very much. So when you ruin a tip, you just stick another one in it. So yeah, it's fantastic. Have I got any more capacitors to solder?
Based on the fact you've got three here, I would say probably not.
Yeah, no, I think we're ready to power this thing up. I've been waffling. I went on a rant about soldering irons there. I hope it was interesting, because I think I was waffling for quite a while. You got a heater and handle iron, and it's not that bad. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Heater and handle irons the work. Like again, the WEP. I was rocking the WEP for board repair videos for a couple of years before I switched to the electronic ones. So just to clarify, don't get me wrong. You can do it with the heater and handle ones, but heater and tip will change your world. Take it from me. So yeah. So not saying they're that bad, but heater and tip, it'll change your world.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'll just stick that under the camera. It doesn't make out entirely from there.
It's slightly out of focus, unfortunately.
Yeah, slightly out of focus, but you can see from the design there. You can see. Yeah, there we go. You can just see the collar of the iron up to there, and then there's the little tip on the end. So again, as soon as I saw that, also this quote unquote microscope they're using, it's like $10 on AliExpress. They have £50,000 cameras at LMG, and you couldn't get a Logitech Brio or something like that. That's why I didn't make it through that video. I was morbidly angry at how ill prepared they were. And again, I'm not saying people... This has been a scuff stream. I'm not saying that people aren't allowed to make scuff videos. But at LMG, with 10 million subscribers, I expected better. I think that's why I'm pissed off about it. You know, I'm just like... I expected better from them. I think that's why I have beef with it. So yeah. Do I use power delivery or laptop AC for my Pinecil? I use DC because that's what I've got under the bench. I've got this is a 19 volt laptop charger. It's the same one that you'd use on a Toshiba. So I use this because it fits the Pinecil and the TS100.
Also, just that.
Oh yeah, the fact
that they left it like that.
That's what they had. They looked at that and they were like, "Yeah, that'll do."
I just like,
come on, guys. Like, you know, if you're learning and you're soldering, like, absolutely, when you're soldering on ground planes, it is like soldering to an anchor. The solder won't move, and you're just like, I don't understand. Why isn't it flowing? I get that, but when your soldering looks like that, especially because you're recording a video, that's the point where you say, stop recording. We need to go and rethink this. This is not working. We need to go and rethink this and then try again. You know, and
certainly because it wasn't live.
Yeah.
If it was live,
when it's live, yeah, it's scuff, it's jank. That's what happens. But I think that's why I was angered.
Oh, no.
Is that they looked at that and they were like, "Yeah, that'll do."
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be angry because, like I say, when you're learning, and they were clearly learning, it's jank and it's scuff. I get it. This is not professional. But also, we're dicking around on a live stream to a small YouTube channel. You know, I don't know. I don't know, man. But yeah. Ooh, okay, I'm going to stop ranting. I'm ranting. My eyes. Yeah, I know, man. Right, let's heckin do. So yeah, also, just to finish that thing, yeah, I use DC power for my soldering irons because it means I can switch between irons very quickly and easily. The Pine Sol does have power delivery. I don't very often use it because, as I say, I've just got DC under the bench. But I do have my Pine Power desktop, which will run it. So yeah.
Do you have a power delivery adapter for a battery? Oh no, you just XT60 to laptop, wouldn't you? To the barrel jack. That's how you did it, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If I want to run one of these from a battery, I have XT60 to XT60 to barrel jack.
Yeah.
Is how I do that. Let's power this thing on and see if we've killed it or not, or see if we've made. Let's see if we've transferred its state into a different state of death.
Let's see if it's been fixed.
Yes. Right. What DIMM slots do you guys reckon we should use? 1 and 2, is it? Okay.
That's my assumption.
1 and 2 it is.
Someone said they found the manual and looked at it and said it was 1 and 2.
Whoever said that, thank you for looking that up.
I also think it was got posted somewhere in the Discord, so that's handy dandy as well.
Yeah. Lead Farmer said he posted something in the Discord earlier on. I think that was about capacitors, though, when I was when I was talking for Breeze about capacitors. So, thank you. All right. Can somebody do groceries for me? Hey, if you join Meta and get yourself a VR headset, I hear there's a new program for that. Zing. Okay.
No, that's something different.
Right.
Isn't that the company that makes those Facebook games, Zing?
That's Zinger. There's more jokes in here, but I'm tired and hungry and drinking on an empty stomach, which is a great idea. Also, you mentioned that Thai place earlier on, and yes, I'm into it. I think.
Good. I'll do that when we stop then.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, BIOS battery. Bam. Right.
Capture card.
Position. Let's just turn off all the soldering equipment is off. Yep.
Capture card. Mobile phone?
Keyboard.
Oh, keyboard.
Yeah. You're like, do the capture card. I'm like, I would if I had the keyboard. Right. Ali card. Go. Right. Have a black square, everyone. Okay. Power is on. We have an orange light on the board, so we've got 5 VSB. That's horribly out of focus. Whatever. Let's go. Let's do it.
Quickly.
Activate.
It is not more dead.
Our graphics card fan still is, though.
It is not in it.
Yeah.
It is not in an increased state of deadness.
Quite so. I'm going to sit and activate and deactivate the capture card. Alright. Right. That still looks like a no post, so yeah, beep speaker and stuff I think is next.
Rep.
Yeah. That's the thing, we had one post out of it when we started the stream.
Oh.
I'm very tempted to
finish your sentence?
Yeah. I'm very tempted to run the HDMI directly into the monitor just so I can be absolutely certain we're not getting trolled by the capture card here.
Where is the beep speaker?
Hang on a sec. I think I've got one here. Yeah, I've got one here.
Okay.
Right, stand by. Speaker. Oh, there's a half a dozen screws on the back of it. Right. USB video. Reactivate.
Activate.
No, those were the settings that worked earlier on. I don't think it's posting. I'm going to hit the reset button and see if we get a beep first.
Indeed.
Reset. Right, I know the reset took because we got a red light flash. Try 1 RAM only. Yeah, that's a good thing. Alright, I'm going to give this a set just to see if it comes on. Oh, it beeped.
Hey.
I think we're getting trolled by the capture.
I'm going to unplug this.
Yeah. Have I stolen the adapter out the back of that monitor? I've got another one.
Yes. Ah, good.
Right, we're just going to plug the HDMI directly into the monitor just so we can see what's going on, and we'll just camera up monitor, I think.
There you go.
Because that's the world we live in now. Okay, right.
The button this side? No, it's not. It's that side.
Yeah, I'm just going to adjust my window layout just so we keep the chat. Do we have a... Nah, it'll be okay for now. When we tested it earlier on, yeah, there's some heat in the CPU cooler, but we've got time. Okay, yeah, and that one, no, that's right. Is that going to give no signal? Oh, I think it is.
Huh.
Yeah, still no signal to the monitor. Maybe the graphics card is cactus then. Is the graphics card trolling us? Oh, the monitor just did something. Nope.
No.
3 cap spots missing. Not all of them were populated. Not all of them were populated, so yeah. We have replaced the ones that we took off.
There we go.
Ah, good, right.
Excellent.
Okay. Here's our capture. This is our new capture card, everyone.
There you go.
It is skeuomorphic design. So
It is skewed.
yes. Right. Okay. Dodgy GPU. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Either way, this board works. We don't know if the capacitors actually made any difference or not. This entire...
Unplug and go to the capture card.
Yes, okay.
That works again.
Yeah, we're going to move back to the capture card and see if that works, just so you guys get a better picture. Are we in?
Yes. Because I also unplugged the capture card. I physically removed it.
There we go. Okay, we got capture card now.
Woohoo!
Good. All right, there we go. That'll do. All right. Do you want to have a wander around the BIOS and go, oh, look. See if you can overclock the memory. That's what you like doing on random computers, isn't it? I don't know, but I think you're getting a rep for that on this channel, is whenever we start something up and look at it, you're just like, but what if I overclocked the memory? So, right, I'm going to go back to DisplayPort on that monitor, and I'll get you a full screen.
Oh my god, I can F1 to continue.
Hey, right, let's get you a window projector.
A window projector.
There we go.
It's a projector of a window.
Oh my god, that capture is horrendous. Oh, it's something. It's something. Right. One smaller cap. Missing near power cable. Oh, you know what? You might be right. Are you talking about... Hang on a sec. Are we dead again?
Apparently.
Alright. Let's switch back to bench cam. Are we talking about this guy here that we're missing? Possibly. Doom 3. Or just Doom, I think is what you were aiming for there. I don't like the way it turned on straight away. Oh, okay, it posted. That's fine. Alright. Capture card says... activate.
I'm going to unplug it and plug it back in.
I'll do... honestly, yeah. I might actually get the Live Gamer Mini, because I think the Live Gamer Mini will do this.
I have unplugged it and plugged it back in.
Yeah, so far the Live Gamer Mini has been the most reliable capture card I've used. Now I'm gonna replug the DVI again because that looked like it helped. And reinitialize capture card again. This thing's got a mind of its own. I also think we should probably put on that capacitor that's missing. But I also think we need a CPU fan at this point because, well, I mean, if the top of the CPU cooler isn't burning my hand, I can't believe it's that hot, but you never know. Beep. Alright, we have cooling again. VGA versus DVI. It's DVI only on this card. Right, okay. What do we need? What would help us right now? A VGA graphics card would be really handy. But I don't have one. Not AGP or PCI. Or if I do, I don't know where it is. Not one that I want to use anyway. I actually think I do know of one, but it's not one that I'm going to pull out for this. I think we should go back to the monitor because that was the last place it was working.
Indeed.
So yeah, let's go back to the monitor, and if that works, we'll just stay there. So AliExpress card out, plug into back of monitor. Oh right, yeah.
I was like, I took it out. I put it down.
Yeah.
Where did I put it down?
Cool. Right, let's do that. Let's switch that off. You guys can enjoy our crazy fan for a sec. This would look better at 60 FPS, but yeah, that's 30 now. Right, let's change that monitor to DVI. And I'm going to reset the computer. Although the monitor isn't going... Oh, there we go. There's power saving mode. Right, reset. Right, and our survey says... There we go.
Hey.
Yeah, I think this is a capture card problem. There we go. Right, okay. Let's look around the BIOS and go, ooh, and then wrap up, shall we? Yeah,
oh my God.
There we go. It took
my God.
It took us nearly 3 hours.
That BIOS looks identical to the BIOS on that Gigabyte AM3 board.
Yeah. Well, this is what it looked... They all looked like this before UEFI.
Soft menu 3 setup. Ah.
But what if we overclocked it? Yeah.
Did I do it right?
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Overclocking with an FSB.
It's not changing the FSB, it's changing a multiplier.
Yes. These will be multiplier unlocked CPUs.
I can define my power supply.
Yeah, FSB overclocking is sketchy.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh my God, those core voltages though. 1.6 volts and 2.5 volts. Yeah. Yeah, so to clarify, I'm fairly certain that the recapacitoring didn't actually do anything. I think we were being trolled by our capture method. But that's not really what these videos are about, is it? So, yeah. I dare you to change it. Oh, no, that's not... Well, I was about to say I dare you to change it to mono video, but that might change us to like 240 by 480 or something like that. So
virus warning.
Very well. There's a lot of weird stuff in old BIOSes, and that I've never known if it actually worked or not. Like boot sector viruses, man. Did anyone ever see a boot sector virus in the wild? Like, I've heard of them, and I know what they do, but I've never been certain if they ever existed.
What is an LS120?
The LS120 was also known as the super floppy. It was a 120 megabyte floppy disk. However, at around the time when it was good because it was a floppy disk drive that could take the traditional 1.4 megabyte floppies and LS120s. It was from the same era as the Jazz drive and the zip drive.
Oh, I see.
However, the Jazz drive and the zip drive, they went up to higher capacities and they had already established themselves at the time when the LS120 was about. But the LS120 was good because it was backwards compatible with floppy disks.
Right.
So it was vastly more practical than a zip drive was.
So you could just replace your floppy drive with an LS120.
Yeah.
Read floppies and use special LS120 drives.
Exactly that.
Right.
However, I've only ever seen an LS120 once in my life. Whereas zip drives, now and then you see them back and you're like, oh, look, it's a zip drive. But yeah, LS120, I've seen one once. And I would wager there are very few people in the chat who have ever seen one before.
Yeah. Typematic rate setting. To set your character repeat rate.
Yeah. It lives twice. Yeah. Yep. As we don't think the recap actually is what helped it. I think we were getting trolled by our capture card method. However, at any rate, we put some new capacitors on it. So.
Look at that CAS latency, 2.5. TRP of 3, TRAS of 6. And a TRCD of 3.
So CAS latency, that is the same number that these days we're aiming for 16, right?
Yeah.
However, of course, the quote unquote clock speed is so much slower on this that the effective speed is vastly inferior.
Yes, wouldn't this be 166?
It is.
Isn't it an effective? Is it an effective 166?
This is PC 2700. Which is, I think it's... Yeah, it's DDR1, which went up to 400. And I think this is 333 memory, hence the board name. So, yeah, obviously we're double data rated, so 166, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Current DRAM frequency.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, 166, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Blood Loss has got an LS120. It's an external one, but still, that's cool. Nice. Yeah.
Do I have PC health status? I do. There you go.
Current CPU temperature 31 degrees. That's not too shabby. So remember, we've got no. This CPU predates. It doesnn't even have cool and quiet. I don't think it predates all kind of turbo technology. So it's fixed core speed. So there is no down clocking. So your load and your idle temperatures are very, very similar to each other. I'm just going to see what that does with no CPU cooler on it.
Oh.
What the hell?
Graham.
Oh, has it died?
Well, because I said shut down when CPU fan failed.
Oh no!
And you just pulled out the fan.
No, it hadn't saved that though. It hadn't saved that. I think it just crashed. I think it just happened to crash just as I pulled off the CPU cooler. Let's restart it and see if it's died. I'm just curious as to see with the... Yeah, we have taken a lot of heat out of the heatsink. I want to know, when the heatsink was warm and I was like, we should probably put a fan on that, I'm curious as to know as to what the core was actually at.
Yeah. Is this new enough to have onboard caches?
On-chip caches?
Sorry, on-chip caches.
Yes. Yeah, on-chip caches came in Pentium 3 era, I think. And this is Pentium 4 equivalent.
Was it Pentium 4 really 2002?
Yeah, well, very early Pentium 4.
Yeah, okay.
Late Pentium 3, early Pentium 4. There were probably a lot of...
yeah, because XP was 2002. Yes.
That's
right. I was like 5 years out in my head.
There's probably quite a couple of people running around with like Coppermine 1 gigahertz and stuff like that. But yeah, because I was building Coppermine in the very late 90s, like 99, 2000, something like that. which was Pentium 3, 800 megahertz. And I think that chip went up to a gigahertz.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's not crashed.
It has not crashed, no. Interesting. Right, someone asked, what are we going to do with this stuff? We kind of, this is, we're kind of doing this because we could.
So
I think the next step is to build up the computer this was in again, which we did 2 weeks ago, only to find that it wouldn't start. So it's got a bad power supply.
So it needs a new power supply.
Yeah. So the computer this is from needs a new power supply, so yeah, we'll stick a new power supply in it. I'm sure we'll find some tin box. We'll
is this standard ATX?
Yeah.
So we could stick this in a modern case.
We could.
Should absolutely do that.
We could do something. We could do terrible things with this.
Do an inverse sleeper.
Oh no!
So put this in a modern Corsair case with all the RGB.
Oh no! Oh, I hate it. Do you reckon that'd get numbers on YouTube? The reverse sleeper.
I quite like it. My other question though is, what was the blockbuster?
That's so cursed.
What was the blockbuster game of 2000/2001?
Unreal Tournament. No, that was late 90s.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no.
What was the blockbuster game that wasn't Unreal Tournament or Quake?
Yeah.
Because I've played Unreal Tournament and Quake. I'm kind of going, what can I play on this?
Got one. Yeah.
What can I play on this?
It's called a Ricer. Oh no.
It is!
Yeah.
It is!
It is. Oh god. Jonathan, you just won the internet. You just won the internet.
Oh, yes. Because I kind of want to build this up and play something I could only play on this.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't playing games on a PC in the year 2000.
Yeah. We're gonna have to go and we'll go away and we'll do some thinking. I kind of want to rebuild that Lianli to its former glory, like what we planned on doing 2 weeks ago. So I think that's going to happen.
83
years. I don't think we're going to build a Ricer, as funny as that would be, but we will build this back up into a computer and we'll stick 98 on it. Oh, is that burning now?
It's only at 38C, but
yeah,
that is substantially warmer than I expected.
Heat soak is setting in, yeah. But yeah, the core is only registering 39 though, yeah. But then remember, if you can keep your hand on it, it's below 45.
Yeah, but it was purely the fact that I touched it and just went, ooh.
Yeah. Good rule of thumb, people. Remember that if you can touch it without burning yourself, it's less than 50, basically. Less than 50C, anyway. So, obviously, this is heatsink temperature, not core temperature, but whatever. Anyway, original Deus Ex was 97.
Oh. If can find an actual original build of Deus Ex.
I might have one. I might have it on CD.
I would love to see that first level actually running on a graphics card that supports the lighting.
Yeah, this would effectively be the because we tried to build a retro PC. It was kind of a modern retro.
Yeah.
It didn't work very well though because it was actually too modern.
Yeah.
So yeah, this might be a candidate for that. We'll think about it. We need to go away and do some thinking because we've also got parts. We've got some parts for a mid-90s build, like Pentium 166 era, that I want to do. However, the actual tower has gone walkabout, and I've got a horrible feeling it got chucked out, and I just forgot that I chucked it out. So I thought I had it when I didn't.
Were there before? I don't know how to phrase this. Were there non-beige cases before 99 2000?
Yes, but they were uncommon.
Yeah.
Black cases exist. Like the Pentium 166 I've got is in a black case.
Okay. Were there gamer cases, if that makes sense?
No.
In the sense that that compared to an office box.
Gamer cases are an early noughties thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when they came in. Failing that, if the Pentium 166 is actually gone walkabout, a AMD, I think it's an AMD K8, came in. The same chap who brought in this crazy fan.
Oh, that's nice.
Dropped in an AMD K8. However, I don't know my AMD K series CPU, so I actually have no idea what it's an equivalent of. I think it's Pentium 2 equivalent, maybe early Pentium
K8?
3.
No.
K6. Oh, was it K6? Yeah. You know what? Let me go and grab it.
I am going to turn this off now because we're up to 40-something degrees.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
And then I'm going to find the keyboard. Where is the keyboard?
There.
Ah.
Now. Ooh. Right. We're going to wrap up in a sec, everyone. I'm just going to show you guys this, just because...
that one. Did it. A+.
I haven't looked inside this computer yet. I haven't looked inside this computer yet, and you guys can probably help me identify what it is we've got. Because, as I say, I don't know my early AMDs because I was a Pentium kid. So yeah, based on the chassis alone, yeah, that tells you the age. It's one of these horrible things where the entire top shell comes off. I have fond memories of opening up these things.
Are they though?
Yeah, when I say fond memories, fond might be a strong word. I have memories.
So, congratulations, you still have them.
Yes. I have retained approximately some memories. Oh yeah, that heatsink was getting hot, wasn't it? That was slowly creeping up. But yeah, when your CPU's running at 1.6 volts, that'll happen, I guess. So... Alright, stick that all to one side. And... let's lob this up on the counter. So this is just that we're not going to dig into this. We're just going to have a quick nose. Bench cam.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is this...
This is socket 7, unless I'm mistaken.
Is this what is referred to as...
I believe,
Baby AT.
Yes, this is AT. I don't know the exact classification.
Good Lord.
Oh, I'm just gonna. Can I lean
Sorry.
over? We're slightly out of focus. I'm just gonna adjust the monitor setup so I can see
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Sorry,
properly.
I'm looking at this and just kind of going, oh wow.
Ooh, yeah.
What is this?
Caradog's just like, what's this? What is this? What's this?
Yeah, basically. Wait, what? That's the cable for the power button?
The power button is probably a 240 volt clunker. It might actually be switching in.
Oh god.
Is it a top? Yeah. Yeah, it's a toggle. Yeah, it's actually a 240 volt clunker. Yeah. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, it's an actual.
Wait, this has a DVD-ROM drive in it as well?
Oh yeah, that's obviously
that's
obviously not period to the
No.
computer. Yeah.
But I was just like, oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Big game of 2001 was Return to Karfel Wolfenstein.
Karfel Wolfenstein.
Look.
Also,
empty stomach drinking.
Also, there's a screw magnetically attached to your to your speaker.
Sure. Where else do you keep your screws except on your, you know? David Starbuck says, big game for 2001 was Return to Karfel Wolfenstein. You know, again, if I had a copy of it. I'll go through my old games. I have a shelf of all of my old games. I might have it. So yeah, maybe.
Oh wow, this is old enough to have an actual turbo button. Oh boy.
So yeah. Right. Let's just see if I can have a... How does this latch work? I've never seen one of these with an actual latch on it.
Okay.
Was that lock or that was unlock, okay. This does work in a familiar manner. Ah, there we go. It's a Cooler Master CPU cooler, thank you very much.
Oh my god. I did not expect that to be that big.
Yeah. No thermal pad. Yeah, this is this has a ceramic capacitor. So it literally has a ceramic case on it. Ah. It's designed for Microsoft Windows 95, Caradog. There we go. Look at that boy. Absolute lad. So that's what it is. What have we got here, people? What is that? I can see it says AMD 5K86, but
Heatsink and fan required.
Yeah. But as I say, I don't know my AMDs. I don't know what this is. It is a P75. I've never heard of the P75, so that'll be why I didn't recognise it.
That's cool.
So yeah, socket 7 was also Intel. Yet they were sharing a socket.
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
And socket A came after this because AMD wanted a socket that wasn't Intel.
Yeah.
Or Intel didn't want to give AMD the new socket.
Yeah.
Something. So,
P75 equivalent of an Intel, but suckier than an Intel.
Yeah. I'm super scraping random YouTube video memory here, but apparently I think it was a problem with floating point operations, and that's what made it slower.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. Is the 75 denoting 75 megahertz there? Because that's a bit of a bummer. Because if that's 75 megahertz, it's a bit shit. If I'm honest, because yeah, like when I was a kid, I had a Pentium 166, so that's my speed reference. And my mate had a Pentium 120, and his computer was slightly slower than mine. It was visible, so I know the speeds. And if that's 75 megahertz. We ain't playing Castle Wolfenstein on this.
Yeah. And then AMD bought out next gen and then developed K6.
Oh, it's 150. Okay, that's not horrific. But yeah, maybe. If I need to look and see if I can find my Pentium 166 box, because that's the one that I want to revive. But yeah, at any rate, this is a thing that we have now. So yeah, massive thanks to the viewer who bought this in. We've got some other stuff here. We've got a sound card. We've got a VGA card. What is that? That's an SIS 6215.
Is this an AMD?
And we've got, I don't know what the hell this is. Some kind of, it's got a PS2 connector on it.
133 megahertz.
Unless I'm mistaken. 133. Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's a Pentium 120 equivalent then. Yeah. I don't know what this card is doing. Some kind of serial card, I think. I'm not going to go into the details of this thing though, because we're coming up to 3 hours. Yeah, we're at the 3 hour mark, and if we start digging too much into this computer, we'll be here for another hour easy. So this is a job for another day, but there is interesting stuff in here. And it will be cool to share it because I'd imagine there's a lot of people who haven't seen this stuff before and a lot of people who have seen this stuff and can tell us more about it. So yeah, that's a thing. And yeah, we've got the dual 6-pin connectors down here, which is before the ATX20 connector. So that's a thing.
Oh, them, yeah.
Yeah. We actually saw one of those on the Lianli power supply.
I
that's right.
Somewhat recognise them.
Yeah.
Wow. I just love the fact that there's this connector here just hanging out in the middle of a board that you basically can't use.
Yeah. That might be, what's that? RAM modules. Oh, that's onboard RAM, but we've got Edo RAM up here as well. That's Edo RAM, which has to be installed in pairs. So I don't know what the hell's going on with the memory configuration on this motherboard. Yeah. I don't know enough to answer that question. I'm almost tempted to. I would almost expect that to be maybe for a floating point processor, but I might be talking out my arse there. That might just be for different type of memory, because this is from the era where you've got memory and you've got extended memory and all of that kind of bollocks, and we're getting outside of my knowledge there. Or well, I'll rephrase that: we're outside of my knowledge there. So yeah. It's cache. Oh, is it really? It's the level 3 cache. Oh, very cool.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there you go then.
Cool.
That's for a level 3 cache, which would make sense for the period, yeah. Neat. That's probably level 2 cache, I would imagine. I'll be impressed if there's L2 cache on this CPU. But yeah. Right. However, a deep dive is for another day. But we might see, we'll see this computer again because, as I say, my Pentium 166 has gone walkabout, and so this might be the one where we do some building up on it to turn it into a mid-90s gaming monster. We'll stick a hilariously big fan on that AMD and overclock it, or we end, if I do find the Pentium 166 rig, we'll look at them both and we'll compare and contrast them, which could also be interesting because they'll both be socket 7 motherboards.
This has 6 kilobytes of unified code and data for an L1 cache.
Yeah, there we go.
Apparently.
It was called a coast module, cache on a stick. Interesting. Yeah. L2 is on the chip and I3 is in the slot. Fair enough. Yeah. Is that green wire for Earth in the air? Yes, it is. Next question. So, yeah. The BIOS battery being a CR2032. Yeah, I did spot that CR2032 and I was like, oh, hello. I'm surprised it has one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. Right. We're going to jet, though, because we've been going for 3 hours. I'm hungry and I need the bathroom. So.
Oh my god, the V-core is 3.45 volts.
3.45?
Yeah. And it was built on a 0.35 micron CMOS process.
0.35 micron.
Micron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 350 nanometer.
350 nanometer process. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old stuff is rad. And again, this thing is ceramic. Literally, it's just. It's a flower pot. You know. I love it. I love it. Yeah, this is the stuff that I had when I was a young teenager playing Quake 2.
When I was
a young boy. Yeah, I was playing Quake 2 and that kind of stuff on this. So yeah, and earlier stuff. Age of Empires 1. I'm gonna go because otherwise we're gonna take a trip down flashback falls without a life jacket or something.
I wasn't even in there.
Yeah. Yep, Caradog is too young for this nonsense. But yeah, I don't know. You're actually a really great traveller for this stuff because you haven't actually seen it. You're aware that it exists, but when you see it for the first time, you're like, wow, it really is like that kind of thing. It was like that iMac G3, which you were just like, this is awesome. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, isn't it? You know. Yeah. So yeah.
I would have absolutely owned one of those iMac G3s.
It was the iMac G4. Sorry, yeah.
I would have absolutely owned one of them.
Yeah. Can you remember the 3D effects cards? I sure can. I've got one. Katrina has sent me loads of really cool stuff for a mid to late 90s era rig, and it's been sitting in a box waiting for me to get to it. And as I say, we were going to do it this month, but the Pentium 166 tower went walkabout. And as I say, I got a horrible feeling that I junked it like 18 months ago and forgot. And I was going, yeah, I'm going to build the 90s rig. By all means, send in the stuff. And I have a horrible feeling that Katrina sent me this stuff and I had just forgotten that I'd thrown out that tower. I have a horrible feeling that's what's happened. But if it has happened, we've got this AMD rig now, so we can build it in this instead. So we've got something.
Yeah. It
might be a bit unbalanced. I think it's going to be a bit of a mess. But we can showcase some cool stuff. So yeah, that's coming up. Stay subscribed, hang out for the streams, yada yada yada.
Do a thing.
So yeah.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe,
all
etc.
that stuff. Yeah.
That's the YouTube spiel.
Yeah. Right,
anyway.
we're going to go. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. It was kind of interesting. We did some stuff that may or may not have been necessary, but we learned a lot along the way. Something about friendship. Cool. Right. And yes, Voodoo for life. I loved it. Right, we're going to go. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I'm just looking for the stop stream button. Bye, everyone. Toodles.
Bye. Ciao.
End stream.
Au revoir.
Wah.